Hey there, it's Delilah, and today we are going to be talking about Noah Beck's sister, Haley Beck, who was recently fired from her teaching job due to a ongoing investigation regarding, take a guess, I'll give you a sec, inappropriate relationships with minors. America's favorite pastime, am I right? Isn't that what everybody loves to do? Yeah. And by that, I mean minors as in her students, as she's a teacher, and pages and pages and pages and pages of Snapchat messages of her, like, calling herself a sugar mommy to a 15-year-old boy and, like, using money to get him to do shit. It's bad. And it gets so much worse than that brief description, as you can imagine. But don't worry, as always, if you don't know who the hell these people are, hell, if you don't know who Noah Beck is, first of all, bless your innocent heart, we clearly had very different 2020s. I'm going to take it all from the top and familiarize you guys with everything. So let's get into it. So first of all, Noah Beck. Who's Noah Beck? Noah Beck is a famous TikToker with a humble 33 million followers on TikTok. He was one of the big TikTokers from the, COVID era. Sorry, trigger warning for TikTok COVID era, but, he was one of the famous TikTokers from around that time. He was in the group of, Charli D'Amelio and all of them. He dated Charli's sister, Dixie D'Amelio. I won't focus on him or all that too much. But before we get into it, you may recognize Noah Beck from some of his TikToks, such as this one with 121 million views. Jesus Christ. What the fuck are they doing? Curing cancer in this TikTok? Oh. And also this TikTok with 80 million views. Gosh, Noah, step up your game. 80 million views. It's like chump change. They can't even hit 100 million. Pfft. Yeah, this video.
I'm sorry for simping, but simping's what I do. If you saw me like I saw you, then you could be my boo.
It's cute, whatever. Basically, all his popular TikToks were with Dixie. You also might know him as he was part of the Sway House. Do you guys know what the fuck that is? I don't know what. I think I've heard that term before. Who was in the Sway House? This is not relevant, but I gotta know. Bryce Hall. Bryce Hall was in the Sway House. Josh Richards.
Who's my good widow kitten?
I am.
Blake Gray. Noah Beck.
If you hear of art, run.
Griffin Johnson.
But what the hell, boy?
And Anthony Reeves.
Hi, I'm Anthony Reeves.
And Keo CYR. Okay. And he was also on Baywatch, which I think that's that show where they run in slow motion in bikinis on the beach. Shout out, that's why I watch it. I don't watch Baywatch. I actually was never really big in that community. I was just kind of familiar with it because, as a lot of you guys in 2020, I was on TikTok a lot. But if you don't recognize him in general, it doesn't really matter, and it's not really relevant to any of this stuff because we're not even talking about him. We are going to be talking about his sister, Haley Beck. Before I get into this, I want to give a trigger warning. We are going to be talking about grooming. We are going to be talking about financial abuse of power, and we are going to be talking about statutory rape. This shit is so much more sick and twisted than a lot of you guys are probably anticipating. So if you have to skip this video, I have a fun, lighthearted type funny video coming out next week. So I'll see you guys then if you feel as if you want to put yourself first here and skip out on this one. But let's take a breather and let's get into this. So Haley Beck, of course, is Noah Beck's sister. Kind of why this is blowing up a bunch other than just the sheer shocking details of it all. She's a 29-year-old teacher, an ex-teacher who taught at a high school in Arizona. She has been recommended for termination from her teaching job in Arizona after internal investigators found that she had relationship with the student is what the school board told E! News. Which, first of all, recommended for termination? What are we talking about? Yeah, one of our students has been sexting a 15-year-old boy, which we'll get into, over Snapchat, so we recommend that she, I don't know, maybe leave. I don't know, it's just a recommendation, though. I don't really care. What do you mean recommend? What do you mean by that? Let me check. I'm so sorry. I was under the impression that she was fired. Let me check if she's fired. I think she's fired by now. That statement was on April 9th, so hopefully she's gone now. Hopefully she's behind bars by now, but that's unlikely because the legal system has always been complicit when it comes to predators and child sexual abuse. I mean, some of the most fucking powerful people in the world are literally predators and pedophiles. So, that's just a theory, though. Allegedly. But anyways. Okay, yeah, she's officially been fired. I thought so. Why was she terminated, you may ask, if I haven't already made it obvious as to why. Well, she was fired for grooming and raping a 15-year-old student of hers in a sugar mommy type relationship, which is even grosser. Like, it's all gross. Like, okay, it's not even grosser, but it's all gross, but it's like fucking pathetic. Not only can you not find men your own age, but you have to lure kids in with money, like on some genuine, like stereotypical, like, hey kiddos, get in my van, I have candy type shit. Wild. We're gonna read some messages later where she literally has to pay the kid to compliment her. Like, it's pathetic. She's obviously scum of the earth, but she's also just like a pathetic, hopeless bitch with no fucking friends or love interests, or anybody that wants to talk to her that's her fucking agent isn't being bribed with money. Haley began grooming the 15-year-old boy in December of 2024 when he was a sophomore, which is ages 15 to 16, until junior year, which is ages like 16, 17. So his sophomore year would have been 2024 to 2025, and his junior year would have been 2025 to recently 2026. I believe he's still actively in his junior year. Yep. So this is all very recent shit. But yeah, this all started in his junior year while he was 15, and she was his teacher. She taught him... Take a guess. Actually, take a guess. I would love for you to take a guess as to what she taught him. Psychology! She was his psychology teacher. Yeah. Out of all topics, oh my god. By the way, in high school, psychology students learn about topics such as mental health, developmental stages, critical thinking skills, and understanding human motivation and behavior. Meaning, she would have likely been teaching these kids about ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. I don't know if that's the exact term that they use in high school. We didn't have a fancy pants psychology class in our high school. We had like 500 fucking people. But in my college psychology, you know, ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, were part of learning about the developmental stages. And so she likely would have been teaching the kids something adjacent to that, or, you know, the impact of trauma on a developing brain. That is a very common thing that is touched on in psychology, because trauma literally reshapes your brain, especially a developing brain. So most basic psychology classes cover developmental stages and trauma, because traumatized kids' brains literally develop differently. Don't make me pull out my degree.
High honor.
But she also teaches sociology. The fun thing about sociology is that it is the study of human society, meaning power structures are a large part of that teaching. It deals with social systems and structures in our society. Sociology focuses a bit more on socioeconomic status, the bourgeoisie, stuff like that, but it still touches on power structures in general and how individuals with more power and money capitalize off of those with less. And this is particularly important considering the fact that she held money over him and made him do things, referring to herself as a sugar mommy to him. Like, sociology literally touches on how the wealthy abuse and capitalize and look down on the working class, and then the working class do that to those in poverty, and so on and so forth. And like, systems of power. And psychology touches on how the brain literally changes in regards to trauma. Your brain literally changes. Your amygdala shrinks Let me look up if that's the one that shrinks. Okay, sorry. Your amygdala becomes enlarged. Your hippocampus shrinks. Okay, so your amygdala is in charge of your brain's fear center. When you endure trauma, especially at young ages, your amygdala can become enlarged, leading to a chronic fight or flight response, hypervigilance, and PTSD. Your hippocampus shrinks. Trauma can cause a significant reduction in the hippocampus volume and impaired function. The hippocampus is essential for memory and emotional regulation. It often shrinks due to prolonged exposure to stress hormones, leading to memory deficits, flashback, and cognitive difficulties, especially on a developing brain. And so, like, it's so fucking crazy as we go to read on, just to know that, like she's literally aware of, like, the brain chemistry, the brain changes that children and adults, but children go through when experiencing things such as sexual abuse. It's like so fucking disturbing. Holy fuck. And so, like, those brain changes, shit like that, is especially relevant to those whose brains aren't fully developed. People under the mid-20 range, 15-year-olds, for instance. And she taught him that. She would have taught that. And then she went on and raped and abused and groomed him for years. Which, don't you worry, we have plenty of messages to show and the police report and all that stuff. There's a 200-page police report that I went through. I went through all of it for y'all, okay? I'm not going to say subscribe. But I am going to say I'm putting myself through some shit behind the scenes, y'all. My script for this video is fucking insane. If her teaching this kid psychology and sociology while simultaneously fucking sexually abusing him, it gets even worse. Okay, sorry. I'm just giving myself a quick breather before getting into it. What else can I say? You can also like this video. You can hype this video. That's a new feature. It helps smaller channels, push them in the algorithm. We're almost at 300K. I lied, we're not, but we could almost be there. That would be really cool. You can also leave me a comment. That's good for the video. You can say something along the lines of, "Thank you, Delilah. I really appreciate you reading that 200-page police report, but you should probably get back on script right now. We can tell that you're stalling." What the fuck? Why would you say that? Okay, fine. I'll get back on my script. Okay, so along with this police report, some of the messages were leaked as she sent this boy. Take a guess. Take a guess as to how many messages she sent this boy. Please go ahead, humor me. How many messages do we think she sent this boy? Once again, was your guess over 4,000 Snapchat messages that she sent this boy? Was that your guess? Because that's what it was. Over 2 months, by the way. Those messages that she sent him were over the span of 2 months. Sorry, let me correct. I said Snapchat messages. No, sorry. Those were iMessages. There were also Snapchat messages on top of the 4,000 messages that she sent this boy over 2 months. So that's really epic. Yep. But before we get into that, I just want to kind of pre-context show this video of hers that blew up. It was obviously filmed before all of these allegations came out. Just watch it.
Suspect's best friends are students.
They're nice to me.
Yeah. If you didn't hear it correctly, by the way, that was a video that Noah Beck posted saying suspects. It was like a little trend, people running and they're like calling each other out. So Noah says suspect's best friends are all her students, and she goes, "They're nice to me." What? Oh my God! Quite the fucking video to film, knowing that you're doing all of this shit. Holy fucking shit. There's been some speculation that, like, Noah was complicit or Noah knew of the inappropriate relationships that she had with minors. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I don't think he would have posted a video like that if he did know of it, right? But it just goes to show, at the time that this video was posted, there was already, warning signs, like, that she doesn't prioritize a professional relationship as an authority figure. Like, being a cool teacher is one thing, but, like, even stuff like blurring the lines, gossiping to students, etc. is already like a giant red flag. That's one of the things in the police report. The police report basically starts off like there's a bunch of witnesses, there's a bunch of testimonies from students, and a lot of the students were saying stuff along the lines of like, let me pull it up real quick. We'll get into the crazy stuff, but like, I'm just talking about some of the warning signs right now. Like, for instance, this is one of the parents of one of the students. The parent's name is Jessica. It says, Jessica expressed that Haley has never been appropriate. She explained that Haley never acted like authority or acted like a peer to the students. Haley would gossip and worry about what the students thought of her, trying to be their friend. Jessica also described Haley as being manipulative in texts, such as asking blank why she was being bratty. Blank would be her daughter. There's a lot of redacted names in this police report to protect the identity of the minors. So I'm going to do my best. You're going to see going forward, I'm going to be filling in people's names using the context clues that I have, and I'll be saying stuff like the victim or the student or the witness. Right? Okay. Just letting you guys know so you don't get confused when I flash those on screen. But the daughter would often describe Haley's behavior/actions as weird to Jessica. She spoke about observing the victim coming to soccer practice when he had no reason to be on campus, such as the lock-in for the girls' team and practices held on weekends or Christmas break. So Haley also coached for a girls' soccer team, and the victim would be there watching or whatever when he didn't really have a reason to be there. So, you know, after all this stuff came out about him being the victim, it was like, oh, wait, he was there because Haley clearly wanted him to be there so they could, like, hang out or something afterwards, right? Yeah. And not just hang out. More than just hang out. Let me be clear about that. But, like, just in general, I show that to say that there were some warning signs, you know? Like, in hindsight, there was already some parents kind of weirded out by her behavior with the students and how she would, like, she herself would act as if she was a student. She herself would gossip with them. She said to the girl's daughter, she said to one of her students, stop being bratty. Like, what? That's a weird fucking thing for your teacher to say to you. What are we talking about? I also found this video. This is like a little compilation because Haley also did TikTok. You know, she had a lot of followers on TikTok because she's Noah Beck's fucking sister. But she would post TikToks of herself at school teaching, right? And she would just be interacting with the students. Weird as hell. Weird as fuck. Like, clearly she, like, sees herself. Bro, I literally think that she wanted to become a teacher because she, like, peaked in high school. Like, I'm not even kidding. Either she peaked in high school or she was a fucking loser in high school. But clearly she's, like, reliving her high school days via being a teacher. And that includes having relationships with the students. So, yeah. Okay, here it is.
I know I'm about to do a Kahoot. Too smart? Why do you guys keep saying that? I don't know who that is. Aaron. Anthony. Stop.
Why is she acting like a fucking, like, Disney character? Anthony! Oh my god, stop saying that. By the way, this is posted by Dove Meat. Been posting a lot about this. I don't know if they made this compilation, but shout out if they did. And by the way, like, Haley, you can see at the bottom, like, Haley just straight up once upon a time posted these to her TikTok thinking that people would be like, oh, you're so cute, girl. You're so relatable. Maybe act like a fucking teacher, dude. What are we doing?
It's so loud and obnoxious, stupid, and everything. I hate it.
I'm gonna tell him you said that. What? Stop saying that to me. But yes, I do. Go into debt. It's life. Hate to break it to you. Do you remember the 21st night of September? Was that to me?
Ew, why are you it's fucking singing and then the one student's like, stop, and she's like, oh my god, Anthony. I don't know if it was Anthony that said stop, but.
Was that to me? My classroom, my state. Who was that? So I was talking a lot? Is that not my job? Tell me I'm talking too much again. That's what I thought. Who? Hey, be quiet. Wow, do you mean that?
He's cheating. I'm not even cheating. I'm screaming. Alright.
Sit down. Why do you guys throw that word around like you guys know what it means? What does ignorant mean?
Annoying.
No.
Like, she's like bantering and like being weird, and then the one student says something and she's like, I'm gonna tell them that you said that. What's going on? What the fuck? What the fuck? And so those are just some examples of kind of some of the alarming behavior before all this stuff came out. Some of the stuff that's like, yeah, that's Miss Beck. She's kind of fucking weird. I think that she thinks that she's 16 or something like that, but she's really strange. I had some students like that in high school that would like gossip with the kids. Like, what the? And at the time, that's the thing, is that some of the kids think that it's cool, or they don't really think much about it because this is the type of dynamic that's been normalized for them, right? So they don't think much of it. But then, you know, a kid might come home and tell their parent, such as Jessica in the police report, these kind of interactions that they're having with Haley, and then that's when the parent is like, hey, that's not normal, what the fuck is going on? So that's just the kind of stuff that fosters that environment of normalizing some alarming behavior. This isn't the crazy stuff, but it's the stuff that's alarming. But to get into the crazy stuff, let's talk about the police report some more. So here we're going to go through the police report. We're not going to go through the whole thing. Like I said, it's 200 pages. I think it's specifically 194 pages. Yeah. So I picked some stuff out, some relevant shit as it regards to this one specific student of hers who I will not be naming. I'm going to list the accusations, and then I'm going to read the corresponding evidence or messages in the police reports to said accusations. So as we know, she groomed and abused this student of hers starting in December of 2024 until, semi-recently. We know that it took place during his junior year, which is currently ongoing. This inappropriate relationship included having a sexual relationship with a boy and additional things such as inflating his grades, doing his homework and giving him money, sending him over 4,000 fucking text messages. But we'll start with the less heavy shit in the police report first. We'll start with him doing his homework for him. So, for context, what I'm about to show is a transcript of a forensic interview with a 17-year-old girl attending the school. This girl was friends with the victim, and so she was contacted for an interview. The interview starts on page 21 of the police report, if you're also looking at it. But we're cutting a little bit further into the interview on page 24, which is a continuation of a conversation with the detective. So again, this is a student at the high school, 17-year-old girl who's friends with the victim. Okay, so it says, one time, she thinks in March of 2025, the victim and her were driving. The victim advised that he needed to drop off his school computer somewhere because he was having someone do his homework for him. She asked him where they were going, and he would not tell her. She did not question him. They went, and they dropped his laptop off. She ended up connecting the dots that it was Mrs. Beck's apartment, which is near the Target or Dutch. So this girl is hanging out with the victim, and he's like, oh yeah, by the way, I need to drop my laptop off somewhere. I'm having someone do my homework for me. Can you take me to drop it off? And she's like, sure, where, who's doing this? And he's like, don't worry about who's doing it. They drop it off, and then she realized that where they dropped it off was the fucking teacher's apartment, was Mrs. Beck's apartment. She connected the dots because she saw a text from Miss Beck about it. Miss Beck would write that his computer is charged and that she turned in all the assignments except for one because his computer died. She would text him all the time about it. It was so weird. She does not know what classes she did the homework for, but she knew it was definitely psychology, which of course is a class that she fucking taught. So like, if anybody knows how to write an A+ assignment, it's her, right? Inflating his grades. She did most of his homework for junior year. She advised that Mrs. Beck does his homework for him for no reason and that she's a weird-ass bitch. I mean, she's not wrong. Also, Haley admits later on that she, in fact, does do his homework for him. This isn't just speculation or gossip from some kid that attended the school. There is a message of her in the police report's long-ass text that she sent the boy trying to guilt trip him by being like, I do so much for you, I do your homework for you, blah, blah, blah. We'll read it later, but that's the first little shady thing. Should we take a shot every time Haley does something that she should have had her teaching license terminated for long ago? Maybe? What do you guys think? Just kidding. We will all end up in the hospital if we do that. Don't do that. Okay. So she did his homework. This girl also said Miss Beck texted the victim all the time. Every time she hung out with the victim, there would be notifications from her. She would tell him that he was weird for hanging out with her. Most of the conversations was about them getting food together or asking if she wants to hang out in her classroom. Miss Beck would let them leave the campus for lunch. She would give her card to him to buy lunch. Most of the time, she would pay for their food. So this was all stuff that was actively happening at the school. You know what I mean? Like in front of people. You know, this is all the, like, warning signs leading up to it, not so warning signs. Why the fuck are you giving this kid your card to buy himself lunch? Wow, okay, crazy. I don't think everybody knew that they would hang out outside of the school, but the students generally knew that she was a weird bitch. Miss Beck had a weird thing against her, a weird thing against the student. Potentially because the student was the victim's friend. She would bring Miss Beck her food and drinks and she would not even acknowledge her. One time she brought a drink to Miss Beck and she later texted the victim telling him, "Never have your little girlfriend bring stuff to me again." She would ask the football boys if the victim and her relationship was serious and if they were going to date. It was so weird because why would she care? Miss Beck was just so weird. She was always flirty and trying to text the victim. Miss Beck would also excuse all of his absences so that he could pass the class, and she would give him all A's. Miss Beck would use Snapchat to communicate, and Miss Beck added the victim on Snapchat first because she gave him her phone number for whatever reason, and she always initiated the following on social media with her students. For the longest time, Miss Beck followed the victim on social media, but he never even followed her back. She thinks Miss Beck asked the victim to follow her. She would slide up on the victim's stories and stuff. One time, she suggested that the victim unadd Miss Beck on Snapchat. She wanted to see her obsession with him. After he unadded her, she messaged him on iMessage and she blew his phone up. She told him he was such a child. Yeah, that's because he was a child. And he would block her on iMessage and then she would go to Instagram and text him. She used to send him TikToks also too. She has no idea if the victim has been to her apartment. She does know that Miss Beck asked the victim to come over. She has texted the victim after he asked for money and responded along the lines of, "Only if you come over and watch a movie with me." The victim would call her weird for saying that. Like, to the victim's friend, he'd be like, "That's fucking weird. I just asked her for this money and she wants me to come over and watch a movie with her. What the hell?" She asked the victim about Miss Beck, but she does not know if she's being delusional because she believes that the victim would tell her if anything happened. The victim told her that he knew the situation was weird and that he would block her at the end of the school year. He told her that he can't fail the class though, but he promised to block her after the school year was gone. So that kind of starts to show a little bit, the type of relationship that they have. Like, she does his homework for him, you know, and she excuses his absences in class, etc., etc. She's the reason why he's passing this class, and he's like, I can't block her right now. Don't worry, there's nothing that crazy going on between us, but I just can't block her right now because she's the reason why I'm passing the class. I can't afford to fail. Little did the victim's friend know that the relationship did go much further than she thought, and that the victim was leading off. You know, obviously he's a victim, so he was secretive about it. She knows the whole football team is possibly involved, but the victim is the only person she has seen proof for. This is all hearsay, but she heard that she had weird relationships with people that had already graduated. There was blank and blank that hung out with her in class. She does not know those kids though. She had heard of seniors hooking up with Miss Beck and having sex, but she does not think the victim was involved. It had been going around on Miss Beck's social media and people had commented, but obviously she does not know. She does not know for sure if these things are true. She's spoken with the victim recently. She asked him about the allegations. He told her not to listen and just not to get involved. He apologized to her for getting involved in this. He told her to ignore it. She's just accepted it. And then it says, I ended this interview by asking the victim if she had any questions. She asked if any of her information and other kids' information would be released. I advised her that the investigation is under wraps and that the kids' names would not be released. So, yeah, okay. Now, after hearing that witness, the student, the friend of the victim's statement, we are going to jump to page 97. Jumping a little ahead, where the police officer, I believe detective police officer, I don't fucking know, got a search warrant for Mrs. Beck's phone. And this is where we actually get to see the messages that Miss Beck was having with this victim. So, page 97 of the police report, titled, Search Warrant Haley's Cell Phone. Buckle up. It then says, this is the officer narrating this, by the way. After seeing Haley had the victim's name saved as blank, a nickname I'm assuming, I searched for messages for the contact blank. The contact blank had a total of 4,170 messages from June 2025 to July 2025. 2 months. 4,170 messages in 2 months. And y'all know that this means that there's more, right? I see a lot of people talking on social media about this whole Haley Beck situation, talking about how 4,000 messages to a minor. No, there was more. That was just iMessage over the span of 2 months. She used Instagram, she used TikTok, and she mainly, of course, used Snapchat. It was just this 2-month period that they talked on iMessage. Okay, and then we get some context from the detective here for the messages that we're about to read. It says, in this series of messages, Haley's going to a concert and tells the victim she will give him $5 per compliment for a photo of the outfit that she's wearing. She had to pay the fucking kid to compliment her. She sent a photo of her outfit and literally bribed the kid to compliment her. That's so wild. And also, bro, the compliments that he gives her too, I think there's one that's like, the belt. I see that. That's a belt. Okay. Your boots are cool. I guess they fit your legs. Your boots fit. Shit like that, bro. Like, he was not having it. And meanwhile, she's literally bribing him with money to fucking compliment her. Like, what the fuck? Haley sends a photo of herself to the kid, and he provides his feedback. Haley then sends $25 via Apple Pay to him, and then suggests a sleepover at Anthem, which is where the kid is going to be for a football camp. Haley also sends a photo of alcoholic beverages. Okay, let's read the actual messages. So this was on June 21st, 2025. He would have still been a sophomore, so about age 15. Starts off, Haley, want to grab food at like 3? The victim, I'm gonna try to go in and get tatted, so I'll let you know. Haley, I have a small window before Post Malone, so just let me know. The victim laughed at, I have a small, that she was attending I don't know if I said that. She was attending a Post Malone concert, and that's the context. I have a small window before Post Malone, so just let me know. The victim laughed at, I have a small window before Post Malone, so just let me know. And then he said, I have to drive a total of 72 miles tonight. I am not thrilled. Haley said, RIP. And then Haley sent a photo. This photo is Haley taking a picture of her reflection in the mirror. She is clothed wearing black boots, blue shorts, black sleeveless shirt, and a brown-white trucker-style hat. The background of the photo appears to be her bedroom. The caption of the photo says, Posty fit check. The victim reacted a 12, which, by the way, we're going to see a lot in these messages between them. 12. They, like, react to each other's shit, messages, whatever, with just the number 12. I don't know what that means. Like, I don't even know how to Google that. 12 slang meaning? The police, well, no. Other than the police are coming for you, Haley, but I don't think that's what they're using it for. I don't know, guys. It could be an inside joke. Who knows? But he reacted 12 to the photo of her. And then Haley said, one compliment gets you $5 gas money. Okay. Yep. Right. Oh, and by the way, people found a photo of the outfit that she sent to him because, you know, she posted it before going to Post Malone. And here it is.
Itching and burning, itching and burning. Stanky and fishy, stanky and fishy.
Yeah, I mean, it's an outfit you'd have to pay for compliments on, am I right? I mean, it's a normal-ass basic outfit, but still, like, what the fuck? I just had to show that before showcasing said compliments he mustered up. So he goes on to say, well, I'm gonna have to shell out 5 compliments. She said, better start now. And then she said, well, no, actually now they're 4, so I don't want them anymore. And then he said, I think your boots are very fitting. They proportion well on your legs. I think your top is cute because of the fray, lacy look. I think the hat is fire. Okay, belt. I see that. You guys, some of these messages are a little bit funny. There's going to be some moments where I can laugh a little bit, but of course there's also some moments where shit gets really fucking disturbing, you know? It's kind of, there's a bit of dichotomy, I guess, with this whole situation. So, forgive me, but okay, belt, I see that as a compliment is just wild. And then he said, and I like your hair straight. Boom. And then Haley said, was that hard for you? Be honest. Haley reacted a 12 to, I think your top is cute because of the fray lacy look. Haley said, you should have seen me last time I wore this shirt. This shit was tight on me. And then the victim said, crazy. Cough it up. Okay. As in the money. As in cough up the fucking money. And then Haley said, you know, you look good would have sufficed. What the hell are you doing driving 72 miles tonight?
Brother,
Which, first of all, okay, the videos of Haley interacting with her students, right? Those are alarming. We're gonna see a theme of her using kid lingo with the kids, because she's trying to fit in. And it's one thing for a cool teacher to be like, oh, 6, 7. It's another thing considering their relationship, considering Haley grooming him, considering Haley statutory raping him, and then messaging him being like, what the hell are you? Bro, you're a fucking loser. As in, you said $5, send me the $5. And then he said, bro, because I have to go to this dumb youth camp at North High and then up to Anthem to sleep before I leave for tomorrow morning. Haley said, sleep over at Anthem? Don't forget to come get me. Just kidding. And he just said, that's where I'll be. Haley said, maybe. And then she sent the 25 Apple Pay. And then Haley said, the concert wouldn't end until like 11-ish. I would feel bad making you get me. He said, yeah, I'll be asleep. Haley said, wow. Sorry. Haley said, okay. Haley said, wow, okay, see you never. He said, you said 5. And then she said, I was gonna make you drive and get me drunky snacks. Bro, are you the one fucking attending the youth camp? I bet you wish you were, but no. Like, are you the one attending youth camp? Why the fuck are you talking? Like, wah, I was gonna make you get, see you never. You don't even like me. I was gonna make you get me drunky snacks.
but what the hell, boy?
What the actual fuck, bro? Pushing 30, and I don't say that in a figurative sense. I say that in she's 28. She's pushing 30. Like, well, even if she was anything, like, even if she was any age, just being his teacher, we know why this is wrong. But also pushing 30, saying, well, I'm just gonna take it. I can't. Haley then sent a photo of 2 twisted tea cans, and then we have this little double asterisk, which is, it's being used in the police report, and it's used to provide context. So it says, double asterisk, later in this conversation, Haley and the victim discuss going to Anthem so that Haley can eat, in quotations, and then something redacted. So that Haley can eat blank. Eat blank. Okay? So it starts off. Haley, come pick me up. The victim, I'm literally pulling up to my grandpa's. Haley, wah. I want to hang. The victim, I'm overly far. I'm skipping a little bit of like messages that don't really make sense. Like Haley says Tangler outlets for no reason. I don't fucking know, but I'm trying to give a conversation that makes any fucking sense, because they're like responding to each other kind of later. Like one person will say something and then say another thing, and then the victim will say something, say another thing, and then respond to the initial thing. So I'm just reading the important stuff, okay? So the victim said, I'm overly far. Haley said, well, what is there to do in Anthem? Bro, what? Were you actually for real about hanging out with this kid at his youth camp? I mean, I wouldn't put it past her, but like, I thought that was a joke. Like, just her being flirty and being like, oh, come get me, like, let's have a sleepover, whatever. But was that an actual proposal? Okay, and then skip ahead. She ends up saying, right, so there's nothing we can do tonight. And the kid says, I mean, you can Uber here. At this point, he's at his grandpa's. I think he's staying there before the youth camp. I don't exactly know, whatever. And then Haley says, Anthem ain't too far. He says, I'll let you in. She says, to your grandpa's? And then he says, then in the morning you can drive my car home. And then Haley says, what can I do at your grandpa's for real? Haley says, I'm capable of driving, not gonna lie, because she was drinking earlier that night at her concert. And then he said, in response to her asking, what is there to do at your grandpa's for real? And he said, lol, eat me? I don't know. Which is obviously in reference to performing sexual acts on him. He, who is around 15 at this time. And Haley, 29, by the way, says, well, yeah, duh, but like, well, what about your grandpa? Haley, what is there to do at your grandpa's? 15-year-old. Eat me? I don't know. Haley, well, yeah, duh. But what about your grandpa? As in, you know, I wouldn't want him to find out. Well, yeah, duh, I would perform sexual acts to you, but what about your grandpa? I wouldn't want him to find out. So leading up to this point, of course, I mean, I told you all about the allegations and whatnot, but like, this is the first piece of evidence insinuating a sexual relationship between them. You know, the witness kind of talked about it, and that's what the claims are about, but this is the first, like, actual evidence insinuating a sexual relationship between them. I mean, there's a claim that she committed statutory rape and actually did, in fact, have sex with a child. Like, we'll unpack that further, but, like, here, June 2025, he's saying that kind of thing to his teacher as if it's totally normal. And she's reciprocating it as if it's totally normal. Most of the police reports up until this point have been like witnesses, a lot of sketchy shit, but like these are literal documented messages between them. So leading up to this point, June 2025, there was obviously a lot of grooming and normalizing of this behavior and coercing that she had to do for all of this to be said so casually, and potentially a sexual relationship before this point for this to be said so casually. I didn't say this earlier, but when the police officer first got the warrant for her phone, he found a string of deleted messages with the victim under his legal name before she like switched his contact to some nickname. And what they say in the deleted messages aren't actually stated because they're deleted. But I mean, one of the messages was her telling him to call her. And we also know that there was Snapchat conversations. And then also, not to mention, the police found some like Instagram messages. It's not super relevant, but they found some Instagram messages between Haley and someone else. And then it basically, Haley said someone's name, the person said, yo. Haley said, I was going to ask when you were coming to visit, but the victim said tomorrow, so yay. And in the police's little context before this, it says, using the search function, I searched for the victim's name on Instagram and I found this interaction, whatever the fuck. Anyways, this message, though, was from November of 2024. So we have Haley referencing the victim in November of 2024, saying the victim said that you were going to come tomorrow, so yay. So they were having like a personal conversation using the victim's nickname also back in 2024. And by the way, I think the victim's nickname is 12, because like, look at how small that redaction is. I think the victim's nickname is 12. I don't know what all the 12 is, but like, I'm almost positive that that's what the victim's nickname is. Random, but yeah. So we knew that these interactions went back to 2024. It was like very speculated, but this is just them mentioning that. So it did go back a very long time. We just don't have a lot of these conversations because they took place on Snapchat. So like all this to say that this conversation already, we're getting dropped off as this being the first conversation where it's so clear that there's already been lots of grooming and normalizing of this shit leading up to it. I don't know the exact timeline of when she had sex with him, aka statutory rape, but it would make sense if they had already at this point, considering how casual and normal they're having this conversation. Like, I mean, what's there, like, she's planning to go visit this kid at his grandpa's, right? I doubt this is the first time this happened. So yeah, and then the victim says he's almost 70, he'll be asleep, referring to his grandpa. And then she said, okay, yeah, but like, be so realistic right now, me pulling up is weird. yeah, Haley, let's be little bit of self-awareness do we have here. It's crazy that the self-awareness excludes everything else, but yeah, you pulling up to his grandpa's is where you draw the line. Wouldn't want to get Gramps involved, which is ironic because, it's ironic for a reason that she doesn't want to get the grandparents involved, but we'll get into it later. And then she said, and by the time I get to you, it would be late, but like, I want to. Okay, so that's our first sequence of messages, and then the next sequence of messages takes place a few days later on June 24th. Those first messages were from June 20th. Also, keep in mind that the officer did not include all of the messages in the police report. Only the ones they deemed relevant to the case. So, like, the overtly sexual ones and things like that. So, like, they could have been talking every day. It's likely that they were talking every day considering 4,170 messages in 2 months. But there could have been conversations in between those last messages that we read and these messages that we're going to read now. But they just weren't included in the police report because they weren't extremely relevant, right? Okay, so This is a conversation of them before going to get food, and these ones start off like, well, are we like picking up drive-through? Like, what's the vibe? The victim said, I don't got all day, I gotta be ready to leave at 7 a.m. tomorrow, but probably like car mukbang, and then little asterisks of the police officer explaining what a mukbang is, and then asterisks of the police officer saying, Haley then sends a series of AI-generated themed photos that she said that she's going to post them in her classroom. Okay. Anyways, and then in response to the AI-generated photos that Haley sent the victim saying, I'm going to put these in my classroom, the victim just simply requested money. Okay. And then Haley sent the money and said, what the fuck? Okay. Haley sends the money to the victim and then randomly says, oh my god, and then, guys, I hate fucking reading this shit. Like, I hate, like, verbally saying it takes genuine effort for me to do. But she sends the money and then says, you know you could always just get your nut off with me. And then she puts in quotations, you're sick, like impersonating the boy, I guess, being like, you're sick. And then she says, God forbid a girl offers her services. First of all, not a girl, fully grown fucking woman. And your services, by the way, are teaching high schoolers about psychology and sociology, not acting out your high school fantasies because you were clearly a loser with no fucking friends or romantic interests in high school, so now you get to abuse your power and finances to facilitate a high school relationship with the football guy. Except you're not 16 anymore, Haley. You're fucking 29. What the fuck is wrong with you? What do you mean, what do you mean? Oh my gosh, what do you mean? You know you could always get your nut off with me. God forbid a girl offers her services. That is fucking disgusting. Ew! And then he reacted a 12 to her message and said, you're funny. Basically making fun of her. Like, she hits on him and then he goes, you're funny. Like, not having it. And then Haley said, but I'm also serious. Just call me if you're feeling crazy. Okay, fucking Debbie Ryan. Just call me if you're feeling a little sporadic. A little 15-year-old boy that I teach. Just call me if you're feeling crazy. Tee-hee. Quirky. And then he said, and that's why it's funny. Basically saying, like, you know, she hits on him and he goes, you're funny. And then she goes, I'm not being funny, I'm being serious. And he says, yeah, that's why it's fucking funny. Like, you just plain in her face, you know? Like, this kid's literally roasting you. And then he sent a laughing reaction to her saying, just call me if you're feeling crazy. And then he said, maybe tonight. And Haley said, or we could keep it PG and get froyo. Yeah, Haley, hate to break it to you, but keeping it PG with your students also doesn't involve froyo. Doesn't involve hanging out with them outside of the classroom at all, ever. It doesn't involve texting them either. But, okay. And then Haley, she said, yeah, or we could just keep it PG and get froyo, but, you know, all it takes is just me driving to you, so 1 2 1. Don't know what that means. And then the victim laughed at, or we could just keep it PG and get froyo, and he said, yep. I'll see. And then he said, I feel bad because I want to go to the dispo, but I can't because I have dinner right now and I have to pack and shit still. So it's probably going to close by the time I leave. So I'm asking you if you can go for me and just pick it up. Then I'll hit you up when I'm done with dinner. And Haley said, yeah, I can do that. So you want me to grab something from the dispo and then come to you? I'm still here at Sushi downtown, so that buys you some time. So that would be her offering to buy him drugs. Dispo is short for dispensary. He probably said this in the first place, or like asked her in the first place, because, you know, he's not even old enough to buy weed, and he knew if he like complained about it or asked her a little favor and was like, oh, I don't have enough time to go, Haley would jump up and be like, I'll go for you. That means I can see you, right? That means I can drop it off for you and I can see you, right? Because she's a fucking desperate old hag. Like, not that 29 is an old hag, but you know why I'm dissing her. And then she says, you know, so you want me to grab something from the dispo and then come to you? I'm still here at Sushi downtown, so that buys you some time. He says, no, don't come straight to me. Wait, I'll text you. Don't text me, though. So, like, clearly he's, like, on edge here. Maybe he's going to be out and doesn't want anybody seeing the text come up or something. And then he says, Okay, yes, just get another M-fused, any flavor to be honest, same thing, don't text M-fused 2 gram, I'll text you later. So like him saying same thing, right? Same thing as last time. This clearly isn't her first time buying him drugs. And then Haley says, just stay at my place, I'll drive you to the airport tomorrow. Joking. And then it picks up. Haley says, whatever, I'm on my way now. If you don't hear from me in 15, send a search party because I probs crashed from falling asleep. And then he said, go down the street behind mine and come from the other side to my house, like the back part where the 2 streets connect. And then Haley said, if you can't, just let me know and I'm a dip. He said, okay, come to my house. Haley said, I did. So obviously that insinuates that she did, in fact, pull up to a street near his house and provide him with weed. Next, we get into some of the sugar mommy type messages. I'm gonna take a dinner break though, so I'll be back. One sec. Okay, I'm back. So, we have more messages. This is a couple days later after those messages that we just read. Context to this one is that he's going on a trip, I guess, and there seems to have been conversations of her being a sugar mama for him for this trip or just in general. So, these are what the messages say. So it starts off with the victim messaging. Are you going to be my daily allowance service for this trip? Do we set a benchmark or do I just ask by the item? What are we thinking here? Haley sends photo of a phone game with the caption, have you ever played this game? I feel like you'd like it. And then Haley said, this sounds like an official business deal. The victim laughed at that message and then said, I don't know about deal, more so communication. Haley said, yeah, communication's always good. But don't get too crazy with demands, but I'm sure we can work something out. They said, LeMayo, nothing you haven't seen before. Probably just when I'm hungry. I'm finna eat probably at this connection in Houston. So, like, nothing you haven't seen before, right? Like, they've clearly had this type of ongoing type dynamic leading up to these messages. I mean, like, Haley literally paid $5 per compliment that he gave her. So, like, the whole sugar mommy thing and, like, just, like, the financial aspect of it in general, like, this is clearly a dynamic that they do have. And then, yeah, I'm finna eat probably at this connection in Houston. And then Haley said, it's fine. Anyways, get some food. He requested money. And then Haley sent a photo of her neck. Haley appears to be outside tanning. Her neck is exposed and red. Her head is tilted slightly to one side. And on her neck is a small red mark towards her throat. The victim said, oh goodness. Haley sent the money and then the victim said, you're going to have skin cancer. And then Haley said, talking about the hickey. So, like, she sent him a photo of, like, the hickey on his neck that he presumably gave her, right? I mean, like, why would she send a photo of a hickey that some other guy gave her, right? So, like, the claim here is that she had sex with him, statutory, right? Kind of some insinuations of that. And then he responded, I think this is a little later, and he said, hey, sugar mommy, nice to hear from ya. Perfect time. Look at you being telepathically connected. Haley laughed at that message and then said, you better suck up right now because I cried myself to sleep last night because you didn't say love ya back. I hope the fuck you didn't. What the fuck do you mean? Also, this is financial abuse, by the way. This is, like, you know, you have to act a certain way and behave how I want you to behave. Otherwise, you're not getting money from me. The money that I'm, like, holding over your head to try to encourage you to act in a certain way that I want you to. You didn't say love you back to me. You didn't say that you loved me last night. And so you better suck up if you want money from me. Right? And then Haley said, I also decided I don't like the title of sugar mommy. It makes me feel used. The victim said, oh gosh, what title do you prefer? Crybaby? I low-key think he hates her a little bit. Like, I'm gonna talk about their dynamic a bit further once we get, like, more into it. But he just, like, it's so crazy how infatuated Haley is with this child when, like, these are the fucking interactions, you know? Like, what title do you prefer? Fucking crybaby, loser, like, send me the fucking money, like, what the fuck? And then Haley said, watch it. I'm being drama. I didn't cry, but I was visibly shocked. Darling or doll always suffices.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Bro, telling a 15-year-old to call you darling or doll. Who the fuck, it's crazy, because, like, Haley really does, she tries to, like, pretend as if she's, like, also a fucking 15-year-old, she uses her little, like, slang and lingo, but then she's, like, Call me, what's a really outdated name? Call me Sugar Plum. Like they're fucking 80. Like, what do you mean darling or doll also suffices? And of course, in the rest of his messages, I didn't see him call her darling or doll once. So, darling or doll suffices. Suffices. Oh my god. You're a weirdo. And then he said, because she was upset because she was like, you know, like, oh, I cried myself to sleep last night because you didn't say I love you back. Like, I was shocked that you didn't say I love you back to me, even though I'm your fucking old ass teacher and you're 15. And then he responds here and he says, I fell asleep, big whoop, requested money. This guy. It's horrible, but some of these interactions, man, what the, like, you just, it's funny because, like, I mean, anything that's, like, kind of roasting this woman is funny to me, right? I obviously don't like her. And then he said, sugar baby requesting money from doll face sugar mama. And then I think Haley sent the money, whatever. I will also note, while we're on the whole, like, sugar mommy aspect of it all, we don't have the messages for this one because it wasn't an actual message, but it was one of the Cash App payments that she sent. She sent it along with the caption saying, this feels like straight prostitution. You can find this in the conclusion paragraph of the police report or the page showing all of her payments to him and the dates of all of the payments that she did send him. Like, this genuinely was like a sugar mommy type relationship. I don't want to call it that because, you know, those dynamics are supposed to be between two adults. But anyways, she said this in the caption of one of her Cash App payments to him. And she said, this feels like straight prostitution. And I'll just say, close, Haley. Almost there. Not prostitution, though. That would be immoral. Am I right? No. Instead, this is, grooming. Bribery. Sexual exploitation of a minor. Sexual conduct with a minor. And statutory rape, allegedly. But you're right, it's not prostitution, because that would just, oh, that's too far. This feels like prostitution. Yeah, that would be taking it too far. That would be inhumane. Oh my gosh, yeah, no. You're so right. Another note, she also provided the victim with gifts. Whatever the fuck that entails, but like one of the students in an interview was talking about how they found it weird that Miss Beck provided the victim a gift for Christmas and did not get any of the other students anything. And in an interview that Haley had with the police, Haley had an interview with the police. It's a bunch of nonsense. It was before they got any search warrants, so like it was just the initial stages of questioning, but it's not worth us focusing on. But in that interview, she also confirms buying him gifts, but she like tries to write it off and be like, oh, well, I got all of the athletes' gifts. I was an athlete myself. I was just being a good teacher. But no, like, she was like continuously buying him gifts, and with a lot of these interactions, not really trying to hide it, like just literally getting him a Christmas gift in front of all of the other students and not getting them one. Yeah, she was providing him consistently money and gifts. Typical sugar mommy relationship, except not typical sugar mommy relationships because you're a teacher and this is your student, but yeah. And then we have more messages later on. It starts off, Haley, if I cut you off from the money benefit from all of this, I really fear you would never speak to me. So she is self-aware. Like what? And then he just laughed at that message and said, I don't know, we should try to find out. And she said, is that a threat? I think you would miss me just a little bit. But enjoy your expensive Fort Lauderdale pregnant lady beach tacos. Huh? What the fuck is she talking about? I don't know what that means, but hey, that one witness was right. She is a weird bitch, because what the fuck? And then he laughed at that message and said, in response to her saying, I think you would miss me just a little bit. And he said, probably. She said, nah, I was just thinking about how we started off. Literally nothing to do with money. How did it get to this point? He said, man, she said, back when you liked me for me and not for my bank. Oh my gosh, I don't know, maybe date some, maybe, hey, you know who aren't going to be financially dependent on you, Haley? Grown men with jobs. Just a suggestion. And then Haley said, you also sometimes like me for something that doesn't even require money, but obviously no can do right now. I thought you meant the little skills challenge thing. I don't know what that means, but I think her message saying you also like me for something that doesn't require money is referring to like sexual acts. And then it is referring to sexual acts because the victim said, nah, whatever you was doing the other night with your tongue, don't let that out of your inventory for real. Keep that in your back pocket, ready to go. So, if there was any doubts in y'all's brains that she didn't have sex with her student, I mean, if the hickey messages and her saying, like, I could make you nut or something like that, like, if that wasn't enough, like, and then also offering to come over and do stuff with him when he was staying at his grandpa's, if that wasn't enough, whatever you was doing with your tongue the other night, like, come on. She this boy. She statutory this 15-year-old boy, who is, at the time of these messages, around 15. Not that it makes any difference, regardless of age, it's a fucking child. He's referencing a literal time where she performed sexual acts to him. They had an ongoing sexual relationship. According to this article, there were rumors of it months before it came out. There were people in his personal life that knew of it and that were complicit. It's actually fucking disturbing, y'all. When I tell you guys later who signed off on this, like, there's another fucking huge bomb that I have to drop on you guys later as well. Like, there's two huge things that I've been biting my tongue about, but I gotta get through the rest of these messages first. Okay, sorry, but here's a conversation the next day. He says, I won't be seeing you today unless you pick me up from the airport and just devour my shit. Referring to giving him head. And then Haley said, I thought I can't since you have to get your dad. And then we have a little like double asterisk message from the cop as well for context that says there are numerous messages coordinating when to pick up the victim from the airport. So I guess the police officer skipped ahead in the messages a little bit, but just provided us this context of like they were planning how, when Haley could pick up this kid from the airport. And then it cuts to Haley saying, I don't know how I'm supposed to devour you if I'm driving and dropping you off. The victim said, at the crib, out front. Haley said, but it's so sus doing it during the day. Okay, you're 30. What do you mean sus? Like, what? But okay, whatever you say.
Bruh.
But okay, whatever you say. Like, fuck you, dude. And then he said, come inside. Nah, chill. Car it is. And then Haley said, if no one was home, then yeah, preferably that. Like, preferably she would go into his house and devour him and perform sexual acts on him. And then she said, but I guess I'll settle for being a rebellious teen. Haley, you're not a fucking teenager. It's so weird and disturbing when she does shit like this. She, like, genuinely mentally in her brain, like, I think sees herself as, like, a 16-year-old. Like, obviously not, because I don't think she is actually experiencing some sort of age regression, whatever. Not that that would excuse it regardless, but, you know. It's, like, this weird fantasy thing, though, of her. Like, she wants to relate to the teen. She wants to act like she's a teen as well. What the fuck? So, okay, if no one was home, then yeah, preferably that, but I guess I'll settle for being a rebellious teen, meaning, like, she'll give him head anyways, but she'll just do it in her car or something like that. And then the victim laughed at the messages saying, but I guess I'll just settle for being a rebellious teen, and said, yep, just like always, a big kid, stuck in high school, fucking a high schooler. Shit crazy. The world we live in, am I right? That part right there, I know that seems like out of character for him. I'm going to explain further why I think he has these moments, you know, where he, like, actually really thinks about it and is like, yep, big kid f***ing a high schooler, the world we live in. It's just, like, I don't know. Those messages right there are genuinely sad. Like, my heart fucking sunk reading those messages for the first time, if I'm being honest. I had to, like, take a little break after that one. Because leading up to all of this, he's kind of like jokey, kind of whatever. I'm not going to blame him. I'm not going to blame him for insinuating some of these interactions with her, whatever. He was fucking groomed, right? But I don't know. There's like cracks in the facade or cracks in the grooming or her impact on him. This is one of those cracks. And it just... Okay. I don't know if you've ever been in this situation. I fucking hope not. But if anyone's ever been in a situation where they're stuck in a place with someone who rapes them or engages in other sex crimes with them, I won't get too personal, but I'll just say, to me, this feels like such a moment of reflection for him, where it's like, you know, just as always, a big kid stuck in high school, fucking a high schooler, the world we live in, right? Like a moment of reflection where he's like comprehending what's wrong about it, like processing it, I guess, in real time, but he's letting it happen. And that's not a victim blaming statement. Just bear with me, okay? He's letting it happen because when you're in a situation like that, where you are not only a child, but you're in an environment where you rely on your abuser and you have to see them every day, such as a coworker, a classmate, a teacher, an employer. In my case, it was my roommate who was letting me live there for free, and my only other option at the time until I got back on my feet was homelessness. Like, I didn't want to go back to couch hopping or living in my car. So when you're stuck in that situation where you're either dependent on them, relying on them for money, for housing, for whatever, the fact that it's their teacher, you have to see them every day. There's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide. You have to see them every day. The only possible way to cope with it and to just like go about your day-to-day life, like having to see this fucking person every day, is by sexualizing and normalizing the abuse and normalizing it for yourself. That's why I say he slips up or he has a crack in the facade, or what I think cognitive dissonance. He kind of like comprehends the realities at hand for a second and he has a moment of reflection about it and he says it to her, but then he actively goes on and continues to engage in sexual behaviors with her. And that's why you'll see him also engaging with her sexually and making sexual comments towards her. Aside from the grooming that she's done to also play her part in normalizing this dynamic to this kid. But your brain's survival instincts also make you do that. They also make you normalize it because that person is actively in your fucking life every single fucking day. And a lot of the times it's truly a matter of, if you let yourself, if your brain lets yourself fully come to terms with everything and fully comprehend the gravity of it and the gravity of what they've fucking done to you while simultaneously having to see their fucking face every day, that's the type of shit that leads people to commit suicide. And that's why I say, like, it's truly a survival instincts thing. Him sexualizing it, or him reaching out to her for sexual contact, or him normalizing it, acting like it's not like a weird thing most of the time in these interactions. It's called coping. It's called grooming. It's called a trauma bond. It's called cognitive dissonance. And it's called survival mode. This is studied and observed. If your brain fully comprehends what's going on in that moment while actively having to see them, it is literally too much to bear. So instead, the victim, in their mind, they reframe it as, this is mutual, this is normal, or even, this is wrong, sure, but it's in a sexy, taboo way. They are psychologically adapting to an environment that they don't have control over. A 2014 piece in the Nib outlines a woman who is raped at night and she makes her breakfast in the morning. Why would anyone do this? As explained in the piece, that would mean that even though she said no and he raped her, making him breakfast the next day might change the story. Because after all, if it wasn't for sex, that would mean she wasn't raped. Which means that her acquaintance or friend, still asleep in her bed, is not a rapist. Changing the narrative allows victims to, falsely, reframe non-consensual sex into a romantic or a wanted encounter. And this shit's not fucking talked about. And I've seen so many TikTok comments of people calling him like a player or a stud or a whatever, because yeah, there's messages of him where he initiates sexual contact with her. That doesn't mean that he ever wanted it. It's called self-victimization. Really don't like that term, but that is the term for it, and I'll get into it in a sec. But it's just, I want to say that aspect of victims and survivors, it's extremely not talked about. And so when victims do try to normalize it for themselves or lie to themselves or compartmentalize or do what their brain has to do to survive, they feel even more guilt for it because it's not talked about. It's assumed that if you're by somebody, you immediately never talk to them again and you contact the authorities and you this and you that. But in a situation like this where you're dependent on them, you don't even have time to process it before you have to go and see their face the next day. It is very likely that your brain is just going to force you to try to normalize it or sexualize it or whatever. As a study, Melissa J. Lehman investigated the differences in outcome between unacknowledged versus acknowledged rape victims, recognizing that a substantial number of victims do not conceptualize the experience of having been raped as the crime that it was. They examined how the refusal to identify as a rape victim impacts post-assault symptoms. They examined situational factors, symptomology, defense mechanism, and sexual re-victimization. So what they examined in this study was the people that struggled to address it as rape, like just couldn't comprehend that that is what had happened to them. They were more susceptible to certain defense mechanisms like sexual re-victimization. It's even more multifaceted. Like, for instance, all these journals and studies that I've read talk about women, right? And how that stuff can happen with women. There's a number of reasons why a man struggles to come to terms with what happened. And there's even more reasons why a little boy being assaulted by not one, but two fucking teachers that he has to see every day, and other people in his life just don't give a shit. Half the students have been fucking groomed into not thinking twice about her weird little glimpses into this inappropriate behavior of hers. Like, they see fucking Miss Beck inviting the entire football team into her classroom and hang out with her during lunch hours. And the kids who do see it as wrong just think like, yeah, she's fucking weird, but I don't know, because they're fucking kids. They don't know what to do. They don't know that it's at this extent. And so him reaching out to her first many times and him trying to initiate sexual contact with her many times, that is because he is in an environment where literally, like I said, not one but two fucking teachers did this to him, by the way. The people in his life, they don't fucking care. That's another bomb that I have to drop on you guys later, but just some people know of this and they don't fucking care. And then the other kids, his other peers, they like kind of know about it. There's a lot of rumors about it, but they've been like groomed in a sense that they don't see this behavior as that fucking crazy because that's just how it's always been and nobody has anything to say about it. None of the adults have anything to say about it. The type of shit that causes self-re-victimization, it has to do with, you know, a complex psychological response. It involves trauma bonding, cognitive dissonance, fawning, internalized victim blaming towards themselves. And it's that very internalized victim blaming that leaves the victim feeling guilty for this self-re-victimization. And what's a guilty victim not gonna do? Recognize themselves as a victim or seek help because they feel guilt and they feel responsible for all that their brain could do to cope and survive, which was normalize the experience and seek out sexual contact with the offender as a means of normalizing it and as a means of rewriting the narrative. If I initiate it, then I have control. That's the type of thought process. And self-victimization and normalizing sexual abuse is especially common when everyone around you, including your abuser who's grooming you, is treating it like it's normal. And it's especially common when you're stuck with the abuser every single day and you don't have time away from them to cope or process. And it's especially normal in children, and it's especially normal in boys, and it's especially normal in kids with negligent parents. And everything about him initiating sexual contact with her is fucking normal. It does not make him any ounce less of a victim, okay? Self-re-victimization is a very taboo topic, and that is why people use it. You'll see people using it to victim blame furthermore. And the last thing I want to say, the reason why those messages of him having that kind of like crack in the cognitive dissonance, the reason why that triggered me to speak about all of this is because while you're in these cycles of cognitive dissonance, you have cracks or you have moments where you periodically break out of it and reflect and start to think about how wrong it is And then the brain gets overwhelmed and goes back to like, oh, wait, no, this can't be true. We need to act as if this is normal. This is too much. We need to go back to this cycle of cognitive dissonance. Like this is a documented psychological pattern. And it's exactly what we're seeing here, where he addresses what the fuck is going on. He says, yep, just like always, a big kid stuck in high school, fucking a high schooler. The world we live in, am I right? He addresses what's going on, point blank. But then, in the next few messages, the cognitive dissonance kicks back in, and you immediately see him referencing porn and trying to normalize what's going on. And it's so, in my opinion, to me, clear as day what's going on. Like what that interaction encapsulates. And like I'm so sorry to go on such a long tangent, but I just want to say, as a victim of repeated rape myself by the same person that I had to see every day, lived with, and who had financial power over me, and overall was in a power position over me. It was the only place that I had to go. Those messages of him briefly reflecting on their relationship and how it's not fucking normal, and then immediately sexualizing it and referencing porn, that shook me to my core. I don't know. And again, don't get it twisted when I say self-victimization or self-re-victimization. That's literally the name of it. That's just what they call it. I don't like that term. I feel like there could be a better term for that one, but it's not really talked about in general, so. But yeah, none of what I am saying is victim blaming. I'm actually explaining why he still is a victim, despite the fact that he initiates sexual contact with her, and despite the fact that in a lot of these conversations that we're going to see between them, he's very much acting as if it's normal. But yeah, it's self-re-victimization is referencing a phenomenon where a victim, especially a rape, seeks out future sexual involvement with the perpetrator. It doesn't mean they're actually victimizing themselves. In actuality, it's just a weirdly worded term for a taboo thing that occurs within some rape victims as they are experiencing cognitive dissonance and or are seeking to rewrite the narrative as consensual so that they don't have to come to terms with what they faced. And also, yes, two teachers sexually abused this boy. It's fucking devastating. I slipped up and dropped that bomb in passing while on that tangent, but I will touch on that further later. He goes on and says, after saying, yep, just like always, a big kid stuck in high school, fucking a high schooler. Shit's crazy, the world we live in, right? Haley said, like, why are you complaining and making me feel bad? Like, you're basically getting a relationship out of me without the arguments and constant need for communication and reassurance, so you're welcome. You're welcome? You're welcome is, oh, do I have colorful words for you, Haley? I have some colorful words that would get me in trouble here. You're sick. You're welcome. And then here's where the cognitive dissonance, kicks back in. He says, not necessarily complaining. Clutch. Sugar mama for real. Porn star. I think he meant to say porn star. Because this dynamic is common in porn. All the perks for real. Cars, hotels, even the apartment. What a gal. And then Haley said, yeah, and all the while you have a girlfriend on the side. But at least you know that I'm not going to start arguments with you randomly. I don't know if that's supposed to be a compliment or offensive, referring to the, porn star thing. And then he said, compliment. You're just not in a porn star body, that's all. Yeesh, what the hell? Literally dissing her, being like, oh, you act like a porn star in the sense that you do stuff that's, literally in porn star categories that, are not right to do, but, you act like a porn star, but you don't have the body for it. And then she said, and there's the insult. And he said, is it really an insult if it's just a fact? Damn! And then she said, so is this you admitting that you have a girlfriend? Because if that's the case, I'm done doing nothing with you. Because her saying all the while you have a girlfriend was just her being insecure and not stating it as a fact. When you're dating someone and they're paying attention to their phone more than you, and you're like, oh, what, are you busy texting your little girlfriend? That's what Haley was doing. And so him not denying that he has a girlfriend, I guess means that he might. And then he said, I don't have a girlfriend for real. And then she said, okay, thank you. I really hope you aren't trolling me though. Because weirdly, that is when I'd cut everything off. That's when you... okay. Not like us being cool, but just my physical and my money services. So I hope you aren't lying just to keep it. And then he laughed at the message saying, cause weirdly, that is when I'd cut everything off. And the student said, nah, for sure. I mean, if I was 27 and had a boyfriend that was a cop while I'm breaking the law with my service, I'd probably be conservative with my services as well. Context, I guess Haley was dating a cop. Also, another thing, he's once again being very blunt about, like, this is the dynamic, you're breaking the law. I think he may have had that, like, moment of reflection or, like, something that happened that triggered him to, like, think about all this stuff at least a bit more, which, once again, like, not blaming him for questioning it in the past. It's literally an unconscious survival instinct in the result of grooming and conditioning, but, like, clearly something happened that day that, like, caused him to kind of reflect about it at least a little bit. And then we have these messages from a different day. It starts off, so when you leave the gym, I'll leave. And then he said, I just left. Haley said, okay, so I should leave. He said, I'm just trying to get my dick sucked, so you let me know. And then Haley said, yeah, so I can leave now. All right, I'll be there in 20. He said, all right. Haley said, like 5 away. Do you want me to pull up in front of your house? He said, a little bit before, not in a light. Haley said, be there in 2. More messages. Let me know if you need me tomorrow during your tattoo time because I'm going to be in Scottsdale, but then I have to make my way back over here at 6 for Pilates. But then after, if you're not doing anything, we can get froyo. And then in parentheses, my period started, I have an excuse. But good thing I can still use my mouth. So that one, again, insinuates that, like, once again, that there was penetrative sex involved. Otherwise, why would she say anything about being on her period, right? Like, I'm on my period, but I can still use my mouth. So that insinuates that they had sex, which would have been statutory. And not to mention, a little bit later on, within this July time frame, the police found messages between the victim and one of the victim's friend. This wasn't while going through Haley's phone. I think this was while going through the victim's phone. But these are messages between the victim and the victim's friend, another student. And this was July 23rd, 2025. Fuck, bro, how are you feeling? The victim, better for sure. How is it having our teacher eat the dick? The victim, easy, laid there, and then she was like fucking sweating on me and shit. Her belly was smacking my belly. The other person, fat bitch. The victim, fat ass bitch. And then I had to get up and she was like, fuck me like this. And she just wanted to lay down. So I crushed it for like 2 minutes and then I came all over her face. And then I booted her and went to sleep. The shit was a crazy sight to see. And then the person sent an unknown snap and the victim said, whole face covered in my kids. Literally. And the other person said, well, she's been wanting the facial. And then the victim said, well, she said she couldn't see. She got in her eyes. I started giggling. Yeah, so this was July 2025. So, like, it's, like, so definitely, there's so many different accounts of this, but, like, they definitely did have penetrative sex. It would have been statutory. And, like, sexual abuse, regardless if it entails penetration, but, like, that's also very disturbing. Okay, and then we have some more messages. Haley, no, for real, I can't wait to put this burrito in my mouth. Yes, I have my car. Why? He said, wow, want to put something else in your mouth? Haley said, I mean, yeah, dumb question. He said, a bunch of 12s. All right, for sure, let me know when you're outside. And then Haley said, nah, I wish, but I'm staying the night at a friend's. That's why I'm saying tomorrow. He said, darn. She said, I know, bummer. What are you doing tomorrow? And then he said, take your 30-year-old ass home. The fuck you doing still having sleepovers for? SMH. I'm hungry, fuck, and my house is empty. Going to sleep. And then she said, because I drank and I'm being responsible. About to smoke a selfie. What? And then he said, here we go. She said, brother, what are you doing tomorrow? I'll suck your dick then. And then he said, I don't know yet. And she said, I know after I eat this burrito. And then she said, okay, well, add me to your plans. He said, if I get an opening, I should. She said, oh, cut it out. You don't know what you're doing, but saying if you get an opening, interesting. Like, prioritize if you want my mouth around your dick. That's disgusting. That's, like, it's all disgusting. Oh, but just some of the descriptive words of some of these ones. Oh my God, this is a 15-year-old. What the, like, oh my God, I have moments, like, I read these, you know, and I read these and I'm disturbed, but then I also have moments where I, like, really think, like, oh my God, this is a 15-year-old, and it just, like, I like, gives shivers down my spine, like, holy fuck. Prioritize if you want my mouth around your, yeah, wow, okay, and we have some more. This one starts off, Haley, I need approximately 1 day break from sucking dick. My throat is not well. We obviously know the insinuation there. Student said, you can have till Monday. Haley said, nah, I can go as early as Saturday. I'm a champ. Gotta get it out of my system before I leave for Cali. Well, I hope you got it out of your system by now before you're not allowed to step within a fucking radius of children in general, fucking sex offender, so hope it's out of your system. Hope it's out of your system before you're behind bars, hopefully forever. More messages. Haley, hi, sorry, I have a serious question / problem. Victim, what's up? Haley, why did blank just randomly text me saying that she heard some crazy stuff about me? And so I said, what did you hear? And she said, blank said, apparently you were going through your phone pics and you showed a video of me sucking your dick. I don't know when or to who, but why is that a thing? The victim said, who is blank? Haley said, blank's girlfriend. The victim said, I don't know, that's a pretty wild rumor to me. And Haley said, I mean, scary thing is it's not a rumor. More confirmation that this shit did happen. And then the victim said, says who? Sounds like a rumor to me. And then Haley said, well, it's not a rumor if you have a video, if not multiple. The insinuation is that shit like this happened multiple times. Even though, like, in my brain, like, duh. Like, all this stuff is clear to me. I'm just laying it out for you guys why this is, like, confirmed as fuck, you know? And then Haley said, but, like, I'd hope you weren't dumb enough to show your guy friends or even tell them. Victim said, nah. And then she said, like, I'm not going to be mad, but clearly he knows about all this shit we do. And that is more than I wanted him to know in the first place. But as long as nobody else knows, like, all I ever cared about is if you're honest about that part. So, yeah, looks like she had a little scare there about people finding out. I wonder if she changed her ways after that. You know, that's pretty scary there, right? Wonder if she changed her ways. Let's look at the next messages. Haley starts off. Like, I'll stay up if you want to come. And then she said, yeah, but turn your brain off for a few then. The kid said, and just get my balls licked. Haley said, sure, if that's what you want. Okay, so dope. Didn't learn anything at all. I genuinely don't think she cared that much if she was caught. Like, she knew some of the students knew, and then she continued this relationship. Like genuine textbook like, you can't help yourself. Like, you literally just had a scare. You literally just heard a rumor that students at the school saw a video of you sucking this student of yours dick. And next series of messages, you're like, oh, well, I'll come lick your... I don't even want to repeat it. Okay, y'all, I'm sorry. But to get to the fucking point, there is so many more messages of her talking about performing oral sex on this kid. Many more messages of her talking about performing oral sex on this kid. And I don't want to keep reading them. So, you fucking get it. You fucking get that happened. Let's skip ahead to an interaction she had with him on July 28th, 2025. This interaction starts off with Haley saying, in a group with Burlica for our meeting. Feels so wrong. The victim laughed at feels so wrong. Why is this relevant? Who is Miss Burlica, you may ask? Well, that would be the other fucking teacher that had sexual relations with this kid. Yeah. That's one of the bombs that I had to drop on y'all. This is the creature feature. In the flesh, herself. Burlica allegedly recorded videos of herself naked, saying the victim's name. And by allegedly, I mean as in everything I'm speaking about here is alleged because it's an ongoing investigation that has yet to result in criminal charges. But according to the New York Post, both could face criminal charges after the police resubmitted the case to prosecutors. No arrests have been made, but detectives believe that there is enough evidence to bring charges to both of them. And the investigation is ongoing and there could be more victims, police said. I mean, we remember the one witness, the friend of the victim, saying that it could have been the whole damn football team. And the main victim that we're talking about here is just the one that has the most evidence against her. But as we know, she loved her Snapchat. Beck, but Miss Burlica too. I also want to note that as any non-guilty person does, Miss Burlica voluntarily surrendered her Arizona teaching certificates. She quit her job. This stuff came out and she voluntarily, yeah. Beck didn't. Beck was fired. My assumption is that Berlica knew that she'd be fired too as soon as the police investigate her further, so she just jumped the gun and resigned. I mean, there's a video of her naked saying this kid's name that she sent to the kid on Snapchat. Now, before we move on to Haley's further acknowledgement of knowing the victim and Berlica's relationship, right? Haley saying in that series of text messages, like, in a meeting with Miss Berlica, this feels so weird, insinuating that Haley as well knew about the relationship that this victim had with Miss Berlica. Not that I think, like, it's crazy because that's not even I don't, it's Haley Beck, like, it's the predator herself, you know? But it's just wild to think, like, instead of responding like a normal adult and, like, being horrified, feeling horrible for what happened to this kid, you get fucking jealous over the other teacher. Yeah, before we get into those messages, I want to say one thing. I've seen some disturbing comments under TikToks about this, and this isn't uncommon to see when it comes to young boys who have been sexually harassed, raped, or assaulted by older women. But I've seen comments along the lines of, like, attaboy, or I wish my teachers were like that in high school. That is a child? That's a child. Like, just because you're a porn-brained horn dog who can't separate real life from the teacher teaches bad boy a lesson videos on Pornhub doesn't make any of this less disgusting to sexualize. And all that it does do is discourage boys and men all around of speaking up about their experiences with SA and what does that also do? Since it discourages the boys from speaking up about their experiences, it protects the predator. It protects predators walking around the world, and it could protect the predator working at your school board with your future kid. And that's the really sad reality of the situation, because many victims in general fear coming forward. But for young boys and men, I see are very commonly invalidated about their experiences, told that they should be, like, grateful about it and shit like that. And the second that they even think about talking about it, they see narratives like this being pushed and they're immediately discouraged from it. They're invalidated and discouraged from it. Invalidated, word of the day when it comes to this shit, before they ever even get to fucking talk about it. And these disgusting women just get to continue to exist in a space with people's fucking kids. These women get to continue to exist in a space with people's kids. That's someone's kid. That's someone's fucking kid. Like, that's a fucking kid. Are you mad? Are you mad? Like, you know that your comments are public. Like, you know that your comments are public, right? Aside from how alarming that mindset is, like, your comments are public for others to see. Other potential victims to see and be discouraged by. Are your two fucking brain cells just too busy thinking about porn to comprehend that? Anyways, yeah, I had to get that right, like, out of the way right off the bat when talking about the two teachers, because I've seen a lot of really disturbing comments about that. I'm not tolerating any of that shit in my comment section. I don't want to see none of that in my comment section. Not that I'd expect you guys to say some fucking lobotomized shit like that, but it just pisses me off. It pisses me off so much. Use your brain. Use your brain! The thing in your head, use it! Okay, let's continue. So, regarding Miss Berlica, this was also something whispered around the halls long before the confirmation came out. The first witness I touched on actually references Miss Berlica in her statements as well. When I was reading the first witness's statement, I only told you about the stuff that she said about Haley, but she talked about Miss Berlica in her statement as well. But, like, there was rumors of her also involved with the football team. So disgusting. Like, but this friend of the victim, the 17-year-old girl, the one that we've read the statement from, she said on page 21, she had heard some rumors about Miss Berlica and that she sent nudes to football players. She does not know about anything nor is involved. She noticed when she started dating blank. I think the redacted name is the victim. I think this girl did date the victim. Because remember how Miss Beck would be like all shady towards her? Like she brought Haley a drink one time and then Haley messaged the victim being like, don't have your little girlfriend ever bring me a drink again, or some shit like that. So I think that she did actually date the victim. So she said when she started dating the victim, Miss Burlica would be weird. When she would go to the bathroom, Miss Burlica would ask her if she was going to go hang out with the victim. Miss Burlica asked her about it all the time. She thought it was weird. Miss Burlica was one of the first people to find out that her and the victim were dating. She also heard Miss Burlica added multiple boys on Snapchat. It wasn't just the victim. She heard Miss Burlica added the victim on Snapchat in either freshman or sophomore year of high school. And that would make sense if it was his freshman year. So that's ages 14 to 15 because he had this relationship with Miss Burlica before his relationship with Haley. When I say relationship, I refer to inappropriate relationship, not relationship. I refer to their relationship dynamic, which was grooming. And then it goes on to say, Miss Burlica texted him all flirty and shit, and he was scared. She started sending that her husband does not satisfy me enough.
Her husband does not satisfy me enough.
Wow, okay. And she would tell the victim to come to her classroom early. That is absurd.
Her husband does not satisfy me enough.
Get a fucking grip. Like, what the fuck? Talking to a 14-year-old. She started saying that her husband does not satisfy me enough, and she would tell the victim to come to her classroom early and not tell anyone about this. She did not hear this through the victim, though. She heard this through people close to him at the time. She has never seen those messages on his phone, though. And so that come to the classroom early type shit is also super alarming to me, that there may have been more of a sexual relationship that Miss Burlica had with the student other than just that nude video of her saying his name. And guess what? We actually don't know 100% of anything because the victim and the victim's family have refused to speak to the police about it because they don't want to mess up potential athletic scholarships, which first of all, like, like, low-key, like, what scholarship is gonna be like, yeah, fuck you, your teacher's fucking grouped you, kid, fucking loser, we don't want you. That doesn't make sense to me, how that could fuck up an academic scholarship. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But also, you might be thinking, if the victim and the family refuse to speak about it, who the fuck came forward with all this information? That's the next bomb that I have to drop on y'all. I can't tell you who it is yet, but just know it gets even more fucking insane. Just know that it wasn't actually the victim or the victim's parents who came forward and who said anything about it. So that's why so much of my video has been centered around the text, like, gathering what we can get from that, but we don't have actual statements from the victim. Lastly, here it says, she heard that other students have received similar messages. She does not know who, but she has heard people say the victim was not the only one. She just knows the whole football team is bonded over how weird the teachers are, and they have seen pictures of Miss Burlica, referring to the nude pictures. So to recap, we know that Miss Burlica had an inappropriate relationship with the student before the student had an inappropriate relationship with Haley. The victim that we're focusing on is likely not the only victim of both Haley and Miss Burlica. As far as we've confirmed, we know that Miss Burlica did in fact send a video of herself naked, saying the victim's name to the victim, sent that to the victim. This is confirmed further later as well. But there also may have been a physical relationship between them, similarly to what was going on with Haley and him. We can't say for sure, the victim's not speaking. We don't know when Miss Burlica's grooming ended, but according to future text messages between the victim and Haley, it seems like it didn't go on all the way up until his senior year, 2026, like it did with Haley. And that's where we sit regarding Miss Burlica. But I do know one thing, and it's that we need to put the pressure on school boards fucking everywhere. I'm all the way in Canada, okay? And a teacher at my high school was arrested and terminated for possessing child sexual abuse material, CSAM, which is, by the way, that's the new term for child porn. People don't call it child porn anymore because that insinuates that it was like consensual. So child sexual abuse material is the new term for that. Thank you to the people that told me that in my last video. But yeah, he was arrested of that. Prior to that though, there was talk in the hallways of him being creepy. Like way before he was arrested of that. These predators aren't hiding. They're in plain sight. The victims' voices are the ones who are silenced. hushed. Whispers in the halls, scared to speak up. So they cope by whispering it to their peers, who whisper it to their peers, but then the actual administrators of the school, they dismiss these whispers as just like high school rumors. High schoolers being high schoolers. But like as a teacher, it is your responsibility to acknowledge that some of these rumors have to start somewhere. They have to come from something. I think with how many students at the high school, at this Arizona high school that this all happened, with how many students talked about these rumors, it's generally accepted that all of the students saw these teachers as being creepy. And I think that every damn teacher at that fucking school was complicit for not taking the students seriously and not fucking opening their eyes. I mean, these teachers didn't go out of their way to hide it. If you hear a rumor like that and you're a teacher at that school, you're the fucking adult at that school, right? If you hear a rumor like that about another teacher at the school, observe her behavior. Just notice the fact that she invites the football team into her classroom during lunch. And then you'll also start to see several other of her weird behaviors. And then talk to your higher up about it and say that you're concerned because you've heard these rumors, and also I've observed this list of weird behaviors. Is it not your responsibility as a teacher to make sure the other teachers aren't fucking grooming the kid? Like, what are we talking about? I know American high schools have their fair share of problems that they have to focus on, and you know, some of it's out of their control, like certain laws and lack of gun control, right? But this is absolutely in their control. Anyways, now we're going to look at Haley's messages with the victim regarding Miss Berlica. And then we have a few more additional messages from Haley. And then I'll talk about who came forth with it, since we know that it wasn't the victim and it wasn't the victim's family. And my heart fucking breaks for this boy. Okay, so on January 29th, 2025, page 111 of the police document, they have this conversation. Little pre-context, it starts off like talking about her weight. The victim said, "Bro, in my sophomore year, you were 1,000,000,000% overweight, and now you look fire." And then he liked a message of her calling herself a beluga in an old picture and said, "Ain't that right?" Called herself a beluga, and he goes, "Ain't that right?" Okay. She said, "Yeah, but you still fucked with me then, like as a person." He said, "Negative. You were a cool teacher." And then she said, "You're telling me that you wouldn't have tried with me back then solely because of the teacher aspect?" Notice how she's just blatantly putting the blame on the kid as if he has some sort of teacher fetish and he like seeked out these teachers. Like, babes, did you forget the fact that you added him on Snapchat first and he was weirded the fuck out by it? Are you forgetting the fact that you had to pay him to compliment you? Are you forgetting the fact that he had a literal girlfriend and hid it from you because solely due to the money? Are you forgetting the fact that you yourself even had a hunch, like, if I cut off the money aspect of it, you'd stop talking to me? Are you forgetting how much his grades depended on you? Are you forgetting how much he was also dependent on you for drugs and money? And sometimes he would even borrow your car. He doesn't have a teacher fetish. He doesn't seek out these teachers. These teachers seeked out him. What the fuck? And then he said, "No, not at all." Because I would have been like, she's not even a flex. She's rough. And then Haley said, right. I was just cool. He liked that message. She said, "All right, be nice." He said, "You asked. Same way I think about Miss B. If she was a little bit more fit, I would have died in that pussy." And then Haley said, "Bro, she's also 50 though. Okay, are you jealous of Miss B?" She is jealous of Miss B. We're gonna see it. And then he said, question mark. "Age is just a number, baby. She's starving for that young dick." We're gonna ignore that. We know that, you know, he's been conditioned to sexualize and normalize these interactions, right? Okay, so just ignore that. It's disturbing, but we're ignoring it. And then Haley said, "I mean, yeah, I guess, but even though our situation is still not right, at least we're closer in age." What? I mean, yeah, even though I'm my student, it could be worse. I could be a 50-year-old raping my students. But I would never. Instead, I'm a 30-year-old doing it. Like, what? What the hell? And Haley said, "I don't like being compared to Miss B." Yeah, because you're fucking jealous. Jealous over another teacher that groomed this 15-year-old boy. Crazy. And then he said, "Nah, 100%. A tad more normalized. Like, if I'm 25 and you're 33, who cares? That's him justifying it. He's been conditioned to think that way. But if I'm 25 and she's 55, holy gilf." And then he liked the message of Haley saying, "I don't like being compared in situations to Miss B." And he said, "Luckily, I haven't cracked her yet." Okay, so there's more information. According to the student, he hadn't had sex with Miss Berlica as of July 2025. We still know that she did send the nude video, though, of herself saying his name, and that she would ask him to come to class early. And then Haley said, "Right, that sounds way more normal. Like, an older woman, go you. Go you, an older... No, that's not how you respond. Whatever. Sick. I can't even look at her without thinking of her literal vagina. Huh? What? Why are you thinking about Miss Burlica's vagina? Maybe y'all should hook up. Hey, could have avoided all this. Maybe y'all should just get together. Hook up. In jail. Dab on them. Maybe they should hook up while they're sharing a cell together because they're gonna be locked away in prison for the rest of their sad, miserable lives. You better be dabbing on them right now. Dab on them. Dab on them. Yeah, that's right. No, I think she's insinuating that she's seen the video of Miss Burlica. So yeah, anyways, that's just confirmation that Haley knew about Miss Burlica. Of course, any sensible adult finding out about a child being groomed by a teacher or being sent a video like that by a teacher would feel immensely disturbed, heartbroken for the boy, but she just felt jealous. And she's always wanted ownership over him. Like, here's the last sequence of messages that we're going to read. It starts off with her saying to the child, "I'm glad you still refer to me as a sugar mama. I thought my services were being retired." The victim said, "Yep, lifelong side piece." Haley said, "I'm going to get sick of side piece eventually. I'll need an upgraded title." The kid said, "Well, that's not my decision." Haley said, "What do you mean?" The kid said, "You're the old lady here. If you seek a relationship your age, I can't be anything other than your side piece. You're playing with fire, not me." So, like, her being like, "I want to upgrade the title," etc. She, like, wanted a relationship with him, presumably, once he turned 18. We're gonna have to upgrade the title one day. Like, what's your plan, Haley? You're the stingiest sugar mommy I've ever seen. You surely don't have the finances to run away with this boy once he turns 18. And he also doesn't even fucking want you. But, like, what's your plan? You're gonna date your student when he turns 18 or something? You know that you'd still be fired for that? Like, she doesn't fucking think. She's, like, so obsessed with this fucking kid. And that's the thing that I see with time and time again, is that their, like, compulsions and their fucking condition, whatever the fuck is wired wrong in their fucking brain, is so fucking strong that they get so attached to their victim, and they seem more fucking dependent on the victim than the victim who's been groomed and trauma bonded seems to be in them. I mean, like, they put everything on the line in the first place to seek them out. I don't think I've ever seeked out or felt something towards an adult partner as strongly as these people do towards children. Like, they put everything on the line. They like, can't help themselves. Like, it feels so much more than just, like, a is someone who's attracted to children and seeks out children, but it's so much more than that. It's not just being attracted to a child and seeking out a child. It's like, she's obsessed. She's, you know, she wants to end up with this person. She hears rumors and she hears, you know, people talking about how they saw a video of her doing stuff with this kid, and that still didn't stop her. Like, you have to be fucking, like, there's got to be at least, like, concurrent disorders interlinked with pedophiles that actually seek out and get involved with children, right? It literally has to be more than just, like, attraction. That doesn't make sense to me, because I'm attracted to people. I would never fucking put everything on the line and also do something so extremely morally corrupt and abusive towards a child and ruin their fucking, like, you know what I mean? There has to be something more. I can't even fathom it, right? Anyways, so shortly after this, that last series of text messages was on, like, the 28th of July. The student switched schools. I think his family moved from Arizona to California. But right before he left, Haley and him have a text exchange. Starts off with him saying, "Thank you for all the things that you do and have done." Click the accept. I'm at the counter 12. I think he sent her a money request. So he's like, "Thank you for all that you do and all that you've done. Can you accept my fucking money request?" Whatever. Haley said, "Why are you thanking me? It makes it seem like you're done with me." He said, "Nah, I'm just not finna be as available because I'm gone." "Yeah, no, I know, but, like, you're still available over text and phone call, you know. I'll see you this weekend when you're available for our temporary last huzzah." That sequence of messages was sent on July 30th, 2025. So it seems like the height of their relationship and communication ended around July 30th, 2025, as he moved from Arizona to California. Oh, and by the way, she did not see him that weekend for their last huzzah. There's a little text exchange between them, like a few days after this conversation, saying, Haley said, I have something to give you also. He said, I'm leaving right now. She said, to go where? He said, Dago. She said, I don't know what Dago is. He said, South San Diego. She said, wait, you're going to Cali now? And then she said, hold on, not staying till Sunday anymore? And then she also said, wait, so you're like gone. Gosh dang, I had stuff to give to you. He said, wow, yeah, I'm out. Unfortunate. Mail it. So, you know, that was that little message saying like, thank you for everything you've done, or like whatever the fuck. That was his last interaction with her. He did not see her physically in person after that text exchange. And I, based off stuff that we're going to find out in a moment, do not think that he intended on seeing her after that last text exchange that he had with her on July 30th, 2025. After this move, Haley gave us quite the conclusion to the whole case, quite the synopsis, if you will. She wrote him a handwritten love letter. What is happening? This was found while conducting the search of Haley's apartment, as this was reported before Haley got the chance to mail it. This one's pretty sick, y'all. It states, oh my god, this one is absurd. You're probably going to think this is cheesy as hell, but you know I'm a words girly. I know, you aren't dying, you're literally just a text away. But I had little notes from people when I was studying abroad, and I would just read them over when I was feeling a little lonely. Obviously, with you being away from your closest people, you may feel that way at some point. So read this if you do. 12. Even using the 12 in writing, if anybody knows what that means. What is going on with all the 12s? I don't know. So read this if you do. 12. I'm really proud of you for choosing yourself in this situation, even though I know it was tough. It's kind of crazy to look back and realize that in my 2 years of knowing you, our relationship has changed so much. I'm really glad I had the opportunity to teach you in sophomore year, because without that, we never really would have been chill with each other. I know there's some random times where you decide that you hate me, and that's okay, because I know at the end of the day, we're solid. Most of the time. I genuinely feel like you're a brother. Okay. If this whole situation wasn't weird enough. Weird. ... Maybe a cousin or step bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass.
Has rotted our brains, y'all. I genuinely feel like porn is partially responsible for shit like this. Like, yes, pedophilia exists before porn, but like, she's clearly sexualizing the whole fucking thing. And porn also helps him to sexualize the whole fucking thing. Which, no shade, he's been groomed. But, like, what do you mean, step bro? Okay, truly never thought I would be in this situation with you. Well, you orchestrated it. But I'm glad to have you as someone who I think will be in my life for a while. Even if we don't talk all the time now, or even at all when you're in college, I feel like our little bond will always be there. So just hit me up when you want to go to a bar and get wasted. And I'll send you a wedding invite one day.
Huh?
I know you are nostalgic as fuck, so I hope you look back at our time as a good one. And no, this isn't me saying goodbye. I know things will be different. Oh, gosh, this is a fucking talking to their victim. I hope you look back at our time as a good one. Like, what the fuck, dude? But don't forget our first pickleball hangout, plus when you wouldn't get out of my car for like 3 hours or so, or our Sonic run after your state game, or all the random times you fell asleep on my couch just waiting for you to invite me into my room. Parentheses, lol. Ooh, or our go-kart experience, our word games at Shake Shack, you know? For this relationship being extremely wrong, I feel like we have really made the most of it. I'm glad I got to come to your tattoo appointments, even if it was just for me to bring you food. All of our car hangouts were fun too. For eating other stuff, lol. Talking about him sucking his dick in the car. So I think a lot of those interactions when she would like go stop at his house to drop him something off, I think that's what she would also do. Or our night adventure in Cali. Like, there's truly no other student. Like, there is truly no other student I know, so wrong, parentheses, I know, so wrong, that I'd want to do all this with. Like, there's truly no other student that I'd want to do all this with. I got another beverage just to wash that down after having to say those words out of my mouth. Don't let this all go to your head, but I'm glad you're in my life. Okay, ew, what the fuck? I mean, you've been to my parents' house, ... in their closet, ... What? Insane. I feel like you have opened up to me about a lot of things. I'm glad that I've been able to be someone that you can talk to, even though sometimes my advice or input is unsolicited. I'm happy that we can talk about things. You know you can always reach out if you need anything. Bro, and like thinking about, this love letter, when reading the messages with him, and half the messages were like, send me the fucking money, hello, like, da-da-da-da-da. Like, she called herself a beluga whale, and he's like, ain't that right? Like, bro, you're deluded. Like, you know you can always reach out if you need anything, I won't lie. I would always look forward to when you would come over, not even to do anything, but just to hang. I feel like I got good being by myself, but even with you, it was still just easy. Whether it was to talk, watch movies, make pizza, or do other stuff, I'm glad we have those memories. And lastly, it kind of hit me that it'll be weird not seeing you during Storm the Halls, some school event, whatever. Even weirder not seeing you out on the field. I'm sure you knew this, but you're the reason I went to all the games that I could. Before I knew you well, I'd only go to a few games a season. But last season, I wanted to go to as many as I could, and I'm glad that I did because those were the last ones I'd be at for you. It's not going to be the same, but I'm happy knowing you're happy with where you're at. I'm proud of you for all you have done and all you'll continue to do. This is just the beginning. Even though you will go to your grave saying we aren't peers, bro, that's crazy. Even though you'll swear to your grave that we aren't fucking friends or peers, even though you'll go to your like she's deluded. Even though you'll go to your grave saying we aren't peers, I'm glad to have you as a friend. Like, bro, you're the first person that got me to smoke weed.
Bruh.
You're always gonna have that title, so we're locked in for real. And maybe one day we'll be able to go to the aquarium. I'm here whenever, and even though you'll never say it back, I love you and wish you all the best, always. Signed, HB, Haley Beck. You know, like that one was so disturbing to me. Like, I know it's all disturbing, but she's just true. Like, the letter to me just speaks so much on, like, how mentally unwell she is. And this isn't, I'm not justifying anything that she's done on whatever fucking mental illness she has. I mean this to say, like, she's truly deluded. Like, like, there's something, other than just her being a there's something fucking not right. Like, this is, like, some shit that, like, I've only ever seen something like this in movies. I've covered a lot of, like, people on my channel that have talked inappropriately with minors, but this one by far takes the fucking cake for, like, what the fuck, dude? Handwritten letter. Love letter. Telling him that literally telling him that she loves him. And also everything else. Out of all of my students, you're the only one that I would have ever. What did she say? There's truly no other student. I know, so wrong. That I'd want to do all this with. Oh my god! I hope she gets locked away forever and ever and ever in this lifetime and the next. Wow. Fingers crossed that hell is a real place. You know, the fieriest pits of it are designated for people like this, for shit like this. What the fuck? Anyways, so that was the letter that she wrote for him when he moved. Like I said, she didn't get the chance to mail it to him because shortly after this is when the police got notice of this. So next here in the police report, it says, the victim sent Haley a screenshot of a text message I had sent the victim, the police. During this time, the victim was actively avoiding the police. The following is what I sent. So, The police reached out to the victim once they found all this out, and the victim screenshotted the text from the police and sent it to Haley. The text from the officer said, "My name is Detective Crabber with the Peoria PD. I have a search warrant for your phone and I need you to turn it over." Okay, I think this is after the police already tried to contact the victim and he was avoiding the police actively. The detective's first message ever to the victim wasn't like,
"Hey you, give me your phone!"
This was after the victim was actively avoiding the police, so he's a little harsh here, saying, "My name is Detective Kruber with Peoria PD. I have a search warrant for your phone. You need to turn it over." He then said, "If you do not, you could face criminal charges for failing to obey a court order. If you prefer, we could contact you at your new school in California. Please call this number to verify that I am in fact a police officer. Respond to this number to coordinate the surrender of your phone. Thank you." So he sent that screenshot to Haley, followed by a message saying, "Don't text me." So, like, heads up, the police are on to us. Don't message me. Obviously, whether or not she messaged him didn't really change much, as the police were still able to go forward with their investigation and, also had a search warrant of Haley's phone, which is where we saw plenty of incriminating evidence. But do you want to know the worst part of all? Do you want to know why this was reported to the police in the first place? Who reported this to the police in the first place? Do you want to know why Haley was comfortable with she was going to send him a handwritten letter or go to his house? Sure, she was kind of secretive about it, but there was plenty of interactions they had that surely would have tipped the victim's parents off as to what's happening, unless they're completely negligent. But there was so many warning signs. Unless they never know where their son is when he's not home, are never aware that he's skipping these classes and going out. Meanwhile, teachers such as Miss Beck and Miss Berlica are marking him as present, and he's getting A's in these classes. He's never doing his homework, but all his assignments are handed in and are all A+ assignments. He always has extra money for stuff. He brings home gifts, and this one specific teacher is at all his football practices and all his games despite having no involvement with the football team, like not the coach or anything. He leaves the house for a bit and then comes back with a hickey. There was an interview also mentioning Haley filming a TikTok in the boy's car. You didn't question why your kid's teacher was hanging out with him in his car? She posted the TikTok. The students were talking about it being weird. And I saw this one TikTok earlier. I was debating showing this one because, confidentiality, but it doesn't show the victims' faces, so I'll show it now.
I don't know if I fucking told you guys, but Miss Beck is fucking here. He told her, he's like, "Yeah, just pull up to my grad party. What's gonna be my grad parent? Hey, pull up, shawty, pull up." And she's here, bro. She's fucking here. And she says partner in Pong, bro. He's tripping because fucking Miss Beck is here, bro. Look at this. Oh my god.
So that's her pulling up to the student's party. Pulling up to a student party. The students in that video are clowning on her like it was known that she was a weirdo. There's rumors all around the school about it for months and months and months and months before it was actually reported. Like, genuinely, how could the parents not know? How could they not know? Well, they did. They did know. They were complicit. But the people that reached out to the police wasn't the victim's parents. It was the victim's fucking grandparents. I'll touch on how the grandparents found out in a second, but first just let me say this. After the grandparents found out, after finding out, the grandparents, they went to the police. The grandpa, Kevin, met up with the victim's mother, Trisha. Her name's Trisha, the victim's mother, to discuss something unrelated, I suppose. And Trisha, before Kevin, the grandpa, could even bring this up, Trisha asked Kevin if he had heard from or spoken to Peoria police. The grandpa then asked her why, and Trisha said, "The victim's name is f***ing two teachers." So the police obviously tried to contact Trisha after the grandparents went to the police. And then Trisha goes to the grandpa and says, "Hey, have the police tried to contact you?" Grandpa goes, "Oh, why?" And she goes, "My son's f***ing two teachers." just so casually. Trisha explained that she knew of the victim having sex with a teacher named Haley Beck because a few months prior, Trisha had seen flirty messages on his phone from Haley and asked her son about it, and he flat out told her that he was having sex with Haley. Like, he flat out admitted it to his mom. Like, that boy was crying for help. And his mom didn't give a single fuck. She didn't give a single fuck. And I think he knew that his mom wouldn't care either, because why would he just flat out tell her? Like, and not try to lie and say, oh, this Haley person in my contacts is just a girl I knew from blah, blah, blah. Like, but instead was like, yes, I'm having sex with my teacher, Haley. Haley as in my teacher, Haley. Yep, I'm having sex with her mom. After finding out this information, Trisha said that she thought back and remembered that he would always miss his first period class due to sleeping in. But his report card said that he was present in those classes and he was also getting an A. So the boy's mom, Trisha, months ago, knew of this. When the son straight up said to her, I'm having sex with my teacher, she goes, oh yeah, you did have amazing grades in that class despite never attending. That's her only reaction. Like, that was it. That was her only reaction. She just thought back like, oh, I guess that makes sense, actually. Apparently then, Trisha asked Kevin, the grandpa, for advice on what she should do because, you know, the cops were trying to reach out to her. He explained that the victim should cooperate with the police. I guess Trisha called the victim and pled with him to cooperate with the police, but he refused to and said that he was scared. Which is weird, because Kevin provided the boy's mom, Trisha, Kevin provided Trisha's contact information to the police, and when he provided Trisha's contact information and they reached out to her, she also wouldn't fucking cooperate with the police. But apparently she pled with him to cooperate. Meanwhile, where the fuck were you, Trisha, when you found out that your son was being raped by his high school teacher? Where were you? What did you do about it? How did you react? Quickly. Other than just straight complicity. Probably because you knew that it was getting him good grades. How'd you react? But now, when it's unavoidable because the grandparents went to the police, now you'll try to get the boy to speak up. Now you'll cooperate with the police. Except, no, she wouldn't, because she didn't. Like, she still's not cooperating with the police. And yeah, I'm sure that your son was scared to speak to the police. I'm sure that he was, but that's when you reassure him that as his mother, you guys have to go to the police, with or without him. As his mother, you're going to go to the police with or without her, because she could be victimizing other students, and also because as a mother, you would be presumably seeing red and want justice, no? No? Well, I guess not, because she just happily didn't even consider going to the police when she found out, even though this boy was so obviously crying for help. And even though he's scared to speak to the police, that doesn't mean that it wasn't a cry for help. It means that he's a kid and he was scared, and it takes a lot to confess. Anyways, shame on his fucking mom. Like, shame on his fucking mom. I don't know if it's because she didn't want to, like, fuck up the boy's grades, since both their reasons for him not speaking to the police have something to do with the scholarship, even though I don't think it would affect that. Like, I don't understand that angle, but, like, I'm assuming she didn't go to the police because she also wanted him to get a scholarship, aka money. Scholarships are financial aids, non-repayable financial assistance for the student to enter into a certain college or university, meaning that Trisha wouldn't have to fork up her own money for him to go to college. And that's worth it to her. That's worth it to her. Not going to the police over your son being raped because it saves you some money. Fuck you, Trisha. Like, to be honest. Oh, and by the way, Haley knew herself that the victim's parents were complicit. Like, Haley also acknowledged that they were complicit. This was a message between near the end of the police document. It just starts looking like the fucking Epstein files. It gets so redacted and, like, confusing. But just, this is a message between Haley and someone else. And this was after the police got involved. This is Haley talking about the whole situation with somebody else, and one of the messages says, I want to know, like, how, like, they found out about it. And then this is an entire redacted message, but then it's Haley again saying, I don't know, actually have no clue. I was just as confused, to be honest. And then we have another redacted message, and then Haley responds. This is like a two-way conversation, phone call, I think, between Haley and someone else, and the other person, everything that they have to say and respond to Haley's completely redacted, but whatever. And then Haley said, like, did someone turn it in? Like, obviously, I mean, a parent maybe, but like, the victim's parents surely didn't. Like, that's not something that they would do or even care about, honestly. So that's Haley acknowledging that the victim's parents did not give a shit, just didn't even care. Disgusting. Like, you're the only adult in his life that fucking knew about this, and you just contributed to the grooming process of normalizing and treating it as if it wasn't a big deal. And that's what I mean when I said that, like, every adult in his life were fucking complicit and essentially helped groom this boy. Like, nobody in his fucking life had their fucking head on straight to be like, yo, this isn't right. What the hell? We need to do something about it. Nobody in his life did. Every single adult in his life was complicit. It's so insane. But now, with the grandparents finding out, we're going to get into that. Okay, so how did they find out, you may ask? Well, the victim came clean about everything to his grandparents. And the report says that while at lunch with his grandma, he told her that 2 teachers at his high school were inappropriately contacting him. The victim didn't tell his grandma their names, but said that one is around 27 years old, Haley Beck, and that the other is a co-op at a daycare. And then he said the first teacher has been communicating with him via text message and sending him money via Cash App. And the second teacher had been sending explicit videos to him, and then he showed his grandma a video where the teacher, this would have been Miss Berlica, was nude. Okay, here's the full details of the video, by the way. She was nude, naked, getting herself off, I'll say, while saying his name. So she was doing that to herself while moaning his name. God, like, the details of that one make me want to crawl out of my fucking skin. But the grandma said the video footage shows the teacher's face as well as identifying tattoos. The grandma tried to take the victim's phone to send herself the videos to report it to the police, but the boy took his phone back. And the grandma also said to the police that she does not want him to get in trouble due to these incidents, and that in addition to the victim, there are 3 other students involved. At the time of this interview, the names of the other victims are unknown. But I guess the grandma found out from the boy, the victim, that there was also 3 other students involved. And also, another thing, would you like to know when the grandparents contacted the police and when the boy confessed all this stuff to the grandparents over lunch? July 30th, 2025. And if you don't remember, in his goodbye message with Haley, not the letter, but the text goodbye messages with Haley, when he was like, thank you for all the things that you do and you have done. And then Haley was like, why are you making it seem like you're done with me? And he was like, no, I'm just not going to be really available, you know, like I'm gone. Those messages were also sent on July 30th, 2025. So right before he moved states, he fessed up to his grandma. An adult who could do something. The day or so before moving to the States. And that he never had to see those teachers again. He fessed up to an adult that was going to do something about it. Because he tried fessing up to his mom a few months ago. She didn't do shit. But him fessing up to his mom a few months ago, that wasn't even deliberate necessarily, in the sense that, like, he didn't fess up to his mom willingly. She found the messages and then he fessed up. But him, like, actually seeking out to an adult that's going to do something, he does that right before he moves states. I'm assuming at this time he had already had his last day at school as well, because this was, like, right before he moved states, so he wasn't going to see Miss Beck again when he made this confession to his grandma. And that tells me that he was, like, would have been even way less of a quote-unquote willing participant than everybody acts like he was. Sure, he engaged in the sexual contact. He reached out sometimes first to initiate it. I explained 500 reasons as to why. I mean, he was literally a victim of grooming. We talked about cognitive dissonance. We talked about all that stuff. But I think at least near the end there, he was like, fuck this. I just got to stick through for the rest of my time here. But as soon as it's time to move, I need to tell someone, like, I can't keep this to myself anymore. I think he wanted something to come from this. But then, you know, when his grandma rushed him to see the messages, understandably so, he felt guilt about his engagement with the teachers as well. And, you know, we talked about how prevalent that tremendous guilt is when it comes to self-revictimization. And he likely, being the kid that he is, thought that he would also get in some kind of legal trouble for engaging with them. Or maybe that, you know, because she was inflating his grades, he thought that that would affect his scholarship. Or maybe because she was buying him weed. But I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I live in a different country entirely, but I believe he wouldn't get in trouble legally. Like, he was a minor this entire time. It might be different regarding scholarships when it comes to, like, his grades. But when he talks about a scholarship, he's referencing an athletic scholarship. And what I'm reading, you only need a 2.0 GPA which to get an athletic scholarship, which is like the bare fucking minimum. So I don't know. But, like, I think he's definitely under the impression that something in this case would affect his scholarship, since it states in the police report that the victim and his mother, I don't know if his dad's around, but the victim and his mother, immediate family, didn't want to speak due to fear of it affecting his scholarship. Again, I really don't think it would. But the fact that he came to his grandparents on the literal day that he said goodbye to Haley, that he finally was like, I'm never seeing this bitch again. The fact that he went to his grandparents and fessed up about it then and showed the grandparents the video of Miss Burlica that day, right before he was moving states, I mean, come on. To me, that tells me that he has been done with this for so long. He's been waiting for so long to just move so that he can fucking fess up. But he knew that if he did it while he was still there, then that could, I don't know, like, maybe that would mess up his grades, or maybe, I don't know exactly. Like, it's also just he probably didn't want to fess up knowing that he would have potentially had to see her the next day. You know, it's like his last ditch, like, I'm moving states, by the way. This is all the shit that's been happening with me. So, I think him going along with these interactions, which regardless, him going along with these interactions is still just textbook grooming and nothing to blame the victim for, but I think him going along with these interactions was more than just grooming. I think that it was a act for a long time as well, additionally. I think he was so fucking over it so long ago. And then I think him snatching the phone back was just because, you know, he's probably embarrassed of the messages that he sent her. And, you know, it's hard to feel like a victim when you also reached out to the person. It's hard to feel like a victim to any capacity in situations like that. And so that's likely why he snatched the phone away. That's likely why he didn't want to talk to the police as well. And because he thought that it would affect his scholarship. But, yeah, that is where we stand, current day, regarding everything to do with Noah Beck's sister, Haley Beck. It is an ongoing investigation, like I stated. No arrests have been made, but the police did say that they believe there is enough evidence to bring charges. The investigation is ongoing, and there could be more victims. If y'all remember, like, when the victim opened up to his grandparents, he referenced 3 other fucking people as victims. And then also, like, the one kid that did the interview, too, she was like, I honestly think there was more victims. It could have been the whole fucking football team, but this victim right here is just the one that has the most proof about it. So, like, in my opinion, there's fucking definitely more victims. Like, my heart goes out to them. I hope they have the resources and, like, I don't know, I guess, like, the courage to also speak up. I wish there was fucking someone in this victim's life to reassure him that he's not gonna get in trouble, but it also seems like he's not even telling his parents or grandparents his involvement, so, like, they wouldn't even have the information to reassure him, like, hey, this stuff's not gonna get you in trouble, don't worry. I don't know if the police at any point tried to reassure him. He's a kid. Like, he's a scared kid. And I think these 3 other victims are also scared kids. And I don't know how the police have been talking to them. I know from the one message, the detective was a little aggressive, you know, when he was like, give me your fucking phone or you're gonna get in court mandated, blah, blah. You know, he's a little aggressive towards him, but I guess that was also after multiple attempts to get a hold of him. So I don't know if the police officer has been helping at all to reassure the victim, make him a little less scared, but I don't know. I hope the victims speak up. And if not, I hope the evidence that they do have is enough to lock these fucking predator scums away for a long time, forever! To lock them away forever! And yeah, I... Also, shame on the people who are trying to dox this kid. You're gonna see that if you, like, search up about this afterwards, that people are trying, like... He has made it clear that he doesn't want his information out there. And if anything, you're just discouraging him from coming forward to the police even more. This is a real fucking person. Your curiosity doesn't justify it. Your curiosity of like, oh, I wonder what he looked like considering that these 2 teachers seeked him out. First of all, that's fucking disgusting. What do you mean I wonder what he looked like considering these 2 teachers seeked him out? What the fuck? Would it justify it if he were attractive? Oh, no, it wouldn't justify it. I'm just curious, that's all. Okay, well, stay curious. I didn't want to initially bring attention to that detail in the first place because it puts insinuations that his information is out there. It's not. The victim is not confirmed. He's redacted in the report. And I've seen people say that his name is insert fucking every single top name in the 2008 most popular white boy baby names catalog. But I knew that it would be inevitable that if y'all looked into this on your own time, you guys would see those types of comments. So, if you do, and if you do see those types of comments, just don't engage with them. Don't maybe report the comment if you can, or fucking better yet, put pressure on the creator to delete the comment. People often forget that creators have jurisdiction over what flies in their comment section. Like I said earlier, if anyone tries to sexualize his involvement with these teachers on some like attaboy type shit, I am deleting your comment. Like, for the first few days that this video is up, at least I'm gonna be lurking, okay? So I'm not letting that shit fly in my comment section. And if you see comments of that, trying to leak his information, trying to whatever, put some pressure on the creator that it's their due diligence and their responsibility to delete those comments, because nobody ever puts pressure on the creators when it comes to stuff like that. If the creator cares about fucking victims, they'll delete the comment. Like, but anyways, let's all hope and pray, or whatever you're into, that these victims get the justice that they deserve, and that these teachers, I don't know the ins and outs about Miss Burlica, that these teachers get a really big fucking reality check, because that was a consistent pattern that I saw with Haley, is that she was just so disconnected from what she was doing, or she just simply didn't fucking care. Like, the victim would literally give her reality checks from time to time, and she'd be like, oh my god, stop, you're so mean. What do you, like, hate me or something? Like, come on.
Huh?
And then literally ask if she could come over and continue to commit fucking sex crimes against him. So, yeah. A reality check is needed. I'll be watching the case closely. Court hearings take fucking forever, but I won't forget about this, and as soon as a verdict is met, I'll at least post a short about it, and I'll tell you guys immediately. It will be a day to fucking celebrate. I mean, her and Miss Burlica, whose name is, by the way, Angela. Angela Burlica. Angela Burlica. Haley and Angela have gotten away for too fucking long. any amount of time is too fucking long, but, you know, knowing that there's multiple victims, knowing that Burlica's fucking 50, bro, and has been teaching for a long-ass time, and Haley's been teaching for, like, 6 years, it shakes me to my core to think about, like, how many potential, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine how many victims there's been. It's so sick and twisted. But, yeah, I'll update y'all if new developments happen with the case. If you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. I'd love it if you stuck around to see any new developments, or you can also watch my other videos. I post a lot of cool videos. I also don't always post videos that are this serious, so yeah. You can also like this video, like I said, hype this video. I'll see y'all below. Like I said, I'll be lurking. I'll be watching y'all. So, behave, I guess. Okay. I will, yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Take care of yourself. Bye.